This is Micoy welcoming you back to another episode of the BLT Thingamajig. I am your host, Thingamajig, and I'm joined by Thingy number two.
Okay, Art 2004.
And today we're joined by Thingy number three. Introduce yourself.
Prince of all tacos and the manager of the Star Articunos.
We've got
Who we
two.
kicked the ass of last week.
Yeah, it happens. We'll get you back in playoffs.
I look forward to it.
So, Poker, we've already got two Articunos joining our podcast, and we've only got one of every other team except for the Trop and the Dirges. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Ask GXC. He probably can't talk maybe. Ask GXC. He'd probably be down to do it.
GXC, I hope you're watching.
That sounds great, but he's a fish.
Yep, GXC, I hope you're
I have a
watching.
fish on already.
So, last time we covered week 2 recap and week 3 predictions. Today, week 3 has wrapped up, actually, like last week, like Monday. But week 4 had dropped about 3 days ago, and already a ton of games have been played. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Today, we're only going to focus on week 3 games, so no week 4 bullshit until the next week, okay?
Yep.
So, week 3, let's get started, shall we? First up, we got the Flame Slinger Skeletorges going up against the Primal Power Pangoros. They tied. Good games. Some awful, some good. Let's just dive into it. First matchup in SVOU, we got Michael Durbest finally getting a win against Ciro Napoli.
I mean, it was only a matter of time. He's too good to stay in the loss column.
Yeah, for real.
But the game he won in was interesting, to say the least. So
a little
wasn't
bit
hacks involved, but he played at the start.
What?
There was a little hacks at the start.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, we got the Meowscarada being special. Point noted, special to prevent toxic debris was a smart build. Shame it missed for the Glimmer.
Micoy, that's not really. That's kind of standard, actually.
Really?
It's basically it's the Sash Leaf Store Meowscarada. That's kind of it's kind of a thing you send out first and stack.
Really? Okay. Boat,
It's not really meant to be kept around for a while.
Boat, do you have anything to say about the game? Or did you see this game?
I didn't see it live. I saw the replays earlier. There was a little hacks involved, but I thought Michael played a lot better at the start than Ciro did. It ended up being closer at the end because he made some nice plays to catch up. But
yeah, this is true.
Yeah, I think Michael won that game regardless, but basically the hacks made it so Ciro didn't really have a chance to come back.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, first of all, Glamora tearing into grass to prevent losing to Aquajet and killing Azumarill afterwards with Energy Ball. That was another pretty smart play from Michael. And then towards the end, as the hacks pointed out, the Dragon Ball paralyzing the Volcarona, which a lot of people said that Michael could have won. He still would have won at that point. But it was pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, the hacks. Yeah, multiple turns of hacks in the end really kind of killed any chance Seer had at a comeback.
Yeah, it could have kept getting paralyzed when it easily could have killed Mons at multiple situations. But in the end, Michael definitely the early turns made it seem like Michael had the matchup at the palm of his hand.
Yeah, I agree. And wow, I actually just got interrupted. I had to mute myself.
So,
My brother overheard us talking about Leaf Storm Meowscarada and is like, did I hear Leaf Storm Meowscarada?
yes.
Why?
No, you did not.
He's
Yeah.
not a competitive player.
Oof. All right. Next up, SVOU. We got My Java versus Herb. This matchup was pretty interesting to say the least. We got Herb had everything going up for him in the first couple of turns, using all of my Java's tactics against him. First of all, the red card sending out Garganackle so Amogus can't spore, and then rapid spinning after Eject Pack Grave Tusk did its turn.
There's a lot of eject pack usage this week.
Yeah, there seriously was.
I guess eject pack has a rise in terms of usage because there are multiple mons that really do benefit from that instead of just a simple pivot.
Yeah, because I guess pivoting has become pretty crucial in this meta, I guess.
I mean, it's trending in the offensive direction, so pivots do make a lot of difference here.
And then of course there's
Yeah,
there's the
pretty
Dragapult
offensive.
being poisoned later by the trick Demungus. Well, that was the point of the game in which my Java started to turn the game around in his favor. And then the MVP ended up being Hydreigon because it got the lucky subs in. It got subs at the most crucial times. Proceeded to Nasty Plot and Earth Power and Dark Pulse the rest of Herb's Mons.
I never really felt like there was a point where my Java wasn't winning the match.
Hmm.
I'm trying to catch up on this match. I didn't catch this one live.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I felt like my Java was just generally playing better for the most part, and definitely capitalized on the Hydreigon.
Right. Right. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting that way. My Java ended up taking a big boy win over an established player like Herval.
And my Java isn't an established player. Excuse
Well,
me.
I
well,
mean, not a point of this one. They're both pretty good.
they're both pretty good, but yeah, we predicted. Okay, our predictions. Our predictions definitely turned the tide. So I'll have to count them later, and then we'll announce who is still or maybe a new champion. We'll see. Okay. Next up, we got.
Honestly, I just watched that game, and I don't think the subs were. I mean, the substitutes were lucky. He just outplayed him at the end.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Next up,
Outmatched, outplayed.
SV Ubers. We got Fogbound Lake versus Richard Millie Plain. This one had a lot of rain, I believe.
You want to know something? I rewatch this game and I play my playlist music in the background when rewatching games. Want to know what song played for this?
The one.
The meme one.
Bless the rains down in Africa.
It was one of the better games last week.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Like this game actually was a lot more competitively played than most people, which is really saying something because the games in Ubers have been going one way or going the other, but these two prove that they can have a really solid game.
I mean, they both played pretty well. I didn't really see a lot of things I would really critique as in bad here.
There's really only one point
the only thing I felt like
go on.
I felt like while Fogbound was playing pretty well in the first half of the game, basically calling all of Richard Plain's switches, I feel like he didn't really go on the offensive enough, and that actually became a problem later.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Richard started playing more aggressive towards the middle and the end, and that's what won him the game.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Fogbound didn't.
Yeah,
I agree.
Towards the game, Richard definitely had the stronger end game. There was really only one point that I had to note is that Iron Hands really took some special hits well with Assault Vest. I'm guessing that was Assault Vest because it was brushing off overheats and Draco Meteors like crazy before killing Miraidon.
It was Assault Vest.
It was Assault Vest?
It was definitely Assault Vest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was definitely Assault Vest.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
I figured it would be Assault Vest, but man, the crazy man, the points in where it took those overheats were under sun
You're breaking
too.
up.
Were under sun too. Were really impressive. Yeah, nothing much else to say. This was a really solidly played Ubers game. Richard ending with Pelipper taking out Terrifier Koraidon, which I'm gonna say doesn't have a water move because it killed it with not water against a Terrifier.
I
Yeah, it
mean,
either
you
didn't
don't.
have a water move or it
You
had
honestly
hydro
don't
pump,
get
but
a
it
whole.
didn't want
You
to
miss it,
hit
yeah.
or miss.
So you actually don't get a whole lot out of water in the current metagame, at least pre-helm.
Really? I guess
It's
what?
mostly yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like the rain is mostly just to break up Koraidon and take away its sun.
I guess, yeah, that definitely makes sense. Or give Miraidon Thunder. Just that 100% Thunder just raining down on everything.
I mean, why would you run Thunder if you can run Electro Drift, which is unless you fishing for para.
You never know. You never know, People create crazy builds. Yeah,
You're not. That's not wrong.
this was a crazy game, but ultimately, well, very solid. Next up, we got SVUU. We got the DJ Illuminati versus Just Drew.
okay, what weird sets did Spitfire bring this time?
Nothing. He didn't bring any weird sets.
They were all pretty
Any?
normal sets this week. Yeah.
He didn't bring
Huh.
any weird sets, which led to his loss, I believe, because
I
man,
don't know. I think Nasty Plot Slowbro's a little uncommon.
It is uncommon, but it's not like it's not a. I mean, it's not a bad set. He played it well for the most part with it, but it is not something you see that often.
yeah, there really isn't a lot of nasty plot slow bros running around. Most just run, the traditional bulky set. Uh, there's really
So
no,
this is it's just running Nasty Plot.
there was nothing really too much to say about this game
I mean,
either. Like both
it's.
players did really well for the most part. Would you guys
I do
agree?
feel a little bad for Spitfire in this game because he could not hit anything. Hurricanes, stone edges, everything was missing.
Hmm.
At least Stone Edge misses didn't actually matter because
No,
he ended up hitting it and killing before it could do anything.
That was really only one
it's,
point, but that's really about it.
Hurricane misses were a bit more crucial though.
I mean, the Hurricane, yeah, because he was trying to burn some of the recover PP, but he couldn't hit.
True, true. Uh,
Well, to be fair, that's just kind of what happens when you rely on Hurricane.
Trust me, I know. I miss it way more than I hit it.
We all miss a hurricane at some point. We all miss that one crucial hurricane that we don't hit. Um, yeah, Spitfire. Next time, bring more wacky sets. You'll win games.
I mean, he's had a really nice year so far, though.
Yeah, there are. Like I wasn't. There weren't games that were actually like. There weren't games that were actually. I'm flattered out. Oh, this was a bad play. This was a bad player going up against a good player. It's very much apples and apples. Here's an interesting game next. Next up is SVRU. We got Tier versus Just Franco. What do you guys think?
Right. This is the one with the D-Dance Altaria.
That's not something you see much anymore. They're mostly all Defog Willow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one was offensive and it was D-Dance and it was
He has
dangerous
no hazard,
here.
and he has no hazard removal if it's DD.
Right? Like it really could have benefited from having no from having hazard removal because just Franco ultimately saw that and boom, just ended up seeing the outplay right here. So here's the thing. So there were a couple of things that I noticed about this game. First of all, Tier Acid in the beginning of the game kept his Lycanroc a bit too long. Just a bit too long, just allowing Franco to just set up rocks and spikes, not really pressurizing him with taunt or potential like potential danger switch-ins like Sylveon here or even Weavile or Ballsy.
Maybe. He probably wouldn't have used the Lycanroc very much unless you need something to. I don't actually know what set it was, so maybe it doesn't even
It
have a
was Taunt,
set.
Stealth Rock, Axle Rock, Endeavor. He should have just used it
Oh,
as Suicide Lead, really.
Right.
well, isn't that what he did?
No, he switched out and he finally died on like turn 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was his suicide lead.
Yeah, but he didn't use it as such, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not really his fault because just Franco wouldn't kill it.
He was gonna kill it in the
I mean,
end,
that's
but
fair too.
he was gonna kill it in the end. It just wasn't really effectively used as a suicide lead, rather than
Right.
Um, Weavile, there were a couple of points that made me scratch my head. Tear Acid weirdly tried to outpredict Arcanine with Weavile. What was he trying to do there? Like Arcanine just killed there. Went for the Icicle Crash and just hit. Maybe he was trying to predict for a switch, but would that really benefit? Would that really benefit Tear Acid in the long game?
Maybe he was trying for a flinch.
But
Could have been fishing for that, but
you could fish for that, but it doesn't really matter because you're going up against an Arcanine, which would immediately kill you in the end.
yeah, it wasn't worth it. It was.
Yeah,
I would think either A, he was fishing for a flinch, which I really don't think that was the case. I think he predicted a switch. Like he predicted that two. And I can't talk. I think he thought Franco would switch,
mm,
so he stayed in and Icicle crashed it, but he just overthought it and got burned for it.
yeah, yeah. I get
I don't know what sort of switch he'd
It's I can't.
expect.
No, I just have to think he overthinks it because you don't fish for a flinch when you just straight die otherwise.
true, true.
Not in that situation.
That is true.
Like if you had to
Um,
do it like if you had no other choice at like an end of a game, sure, but it just you don't fish for a flinch in that situation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, overall, just Franco just
I
ended up
don't
playing better towards
know.
the end. The Altar, as we speak of the Dragon Dance Altaria, definitely very useful. Really putting the pressure on Tear Acid after that Gumshot miss on Revered Room, but overall, just did a lot of damage. Ended up killing Iron Thorns here, and then ultimately against the Sylveon, ended up winning.
Yeah, also notable that just Franco, despite the Iron Thorns coming out, he still clicked Brave Bird. I get which he called the Terra Grass, so
Yep.
that killed.
That's why I did it. Yeah, it's like you're not gonna risk taking the earthquake, and when you're in ahead, it was a pretty safe bet that he would tear there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was either out predicting a Brave Bird or just going straight up for the Earthquake. And fortunately, just Franco ended up having the smarter play towards the end. Very cool win by just Franco.
Also, I guess if anything, Tirasted might have been predicting a switch into Toxicroak for
I mean,
the Fresh
his
Life.
only play there was the Dragon Dance and pray you Earthquake into a Terra flying, because that was his only way of coming back. So, hey,
Yeah,
knowing you have to do that, why he brave birded.
which is crazy. Which is a crazy ultimatum at the end. Really putting the pressure on them. Next up, SVNU, we got Talkie versus Nhelio. Now, this is a game I have some things to say about it. There are a couple of turns that.
Yeah, didn't Ed Hill actually win this one?
Hmm?
Yeah, and Helio won it in the end. It came down to a 50-50.
Yeah,
At first, I thought it was a joke, but I found out later the Zoro was black glasses.
oh,
Oh, wait,
So
it was?
Oh,
It was black glasses. That's why it was a 50-50.
what? Okay, black glasses. Interesting set, but interesting set for
I mean,
Zoroark.
it works.
It does
So
work. It does work, which is impressive. Clawitzer, pretty early game threat. Terra Dragoning immediately to take out the Sandaconda and the Vaporeon, putting the pressure on Togepi very early on.
Tucky did a good job coming back. He was in a hole for a while. Played him for a while, but Helio did enough to win this one.
Yeah, Togepi ended up,
It was
clutching on with a little more than a few turns later, with some expert plays here towards the middle.
Can I ask, what was the 50-50 exactly?
It was at the end when Toki chose to swords dance instead of just close combating it, because you would think it'd be choice, but it was black glasses. So that's why I said in the end it was a 50-50, because if he chose to close combat, he wins. But he thought it was choice, probably banned or something, and played the sucker punch.
Well, and
Interesting.
Helio did end up having the sucker punch, so I
He
guess
did.
it wasn't all that bad of a play.
It wasn't bad. It was very. It was very. It was. You'd have to have a 3,000 IQ level brain move to to absolutely get that 50-50 correct. So
So
yeah,
damn, and Helio using knock there was quite risky.
3,000
Because I
level
mean,
IQ.
he probably figured Toki was thinking it was choice, because you don't see black glasses often.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
I
and
thought it was
you
choice.
can't. Yeah, I did too. That's why I first thought it was a joke. You can't really sucker punch in that situation, because with Rotom having revealed it being leftovers, it's obviously Will-O-Wisp. So you just
yeah.
outstall the sucker punches. So you could not sucker punch in that situation.
It's risky.
Mm.
It's definitely risky. But in the end, it might not be the cleanest of end games. But it did. But it was a very good showing by Enhelio to really put the pressure on Taki, especially towards the end. And Taki looked strong in defeat. No, there was nothing really bad about that game.
They both
Yeah,
played
this
well.
was a good game.
Next up, oh boy, we get to talk about this shit show. SVPU.
Oh no.
T Leonard versus Wish Papillon.
This was a game of all time.
I know you keep referencing that, but it's just so goddamn fitting that this would be a game.
What am I referencing?
It's probably some old video you found on the internet. Anyway, this game
No?
had freaking this game had freaking crazy builds. Let's just focus on this one. This game had freaking crazy builds. This is one of the craziest builds matches you'll ever see.
It was an
Do you
interesting
know what these
trivia
sets
assess by
are?
Lenny. No, I didn't see this one.
Well, let's start with Pap's Ampharos set of
Ampharos.
the ability
I,
plus with Magnetic Flux, Dragon Tail, Charge Beam, and Rest.
and then Lenny bringing nasty plot, mischievous, only bulky
Nasty
Willow.
Plot, Shadow Ball, Terra Fairy, Draining Kiss, Mischievous.
I mean, okay, that one wasn't
Now
as bad.
that one makes me way more sense than
Yes.
magnetic flux plus. What the shit? Sorry,
Okay,
didn't mean to
so
interrupt.
magnetic flux.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that makes no sense whatsoever.
So
What are you
Also,
doing,
the
Wesh?
Emperor's
What are you doing,
Terra
bro?
Fairy.
it
The
was
Empress is Terra Fairy as well.
so this magnetic flux was able to withstand attacks very, very good. Dragon
I
Tail
mean,
was merely there to phase out Gabite. Charge Beam was just for general attacking purposes, and then Rest, for healing.
that set is interesting. I mean, it put in some serious work, but like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why?
It doesn't really
It was
claim a lot of kills,
no.
does it?
It was an interesting set that just would not die for a while there, though.
And it kept stalling him. It
Yeah,
kept staying in and
Yeah,
stalling the frick out of Gabite here in this early turn.
it did.
You misunderstand me, Coy. Lennon was stalling the frick out of the Ambrose.
Right? Like,
It's
it
just
was very effective.
it's just so passive.
So, yeah, it's too passive.
It's too passive.
Also, can we talk about the first move to Lennon used? Final Gambit Squawkabilly?
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense of your choice.
I mean, okay. Final
Just
Gambit
it's
does
gonna be like
Squawkabilly.
as a revenge killer.
Squawkabilly, it was effective in taking out Marini, okay? So that, it couldn't be possibly threatened of, I don't know, Willigan? Maybe
It was a
Micoy?
game.
So later on, after that, after the Ampharos, and by the way, the switch to dash button, may not be the best idea, but it was preserving PP, so it does make sense. And then I think it was Tilenet who had a Lilligant out next.
Oh no, the Lilligan set is weird.
This Lilligant set had Rest Talk and it had Ganlonberry.
And Quiver, of course.
But why? Why Ganlon?
I guess because it's rest talk and you raise your defense and your special defense. It's sort of like the Ambrose theorem Pap was going for, except this is more offensive.
You might as well go for freaking stored power on this Lilligant.
Does it even
I'm pretty sure
learn
it doesn't.
that?
No, it does not.
I don't think so, but if it did, holy crap, this thing would be
It
broken.
it does not.
I don't
Yeah,
think Lilligant would be this low if it learned that. I mean, low tiered.
yes, it would be easily shot up into another tier. But the end game, we saw Tilenet having that draining kiss, nasty plot Shadow Ball Terra Fairy, Miss Drevis to absolutely do a lot of damage to an Ampharos, plus what, a +4 setup Ampharos, and ended up winning the game. And there was a crit, but I don't. But it was low. It got the damage deal. It got the range necessary to even pick up that kill. Also won. I don't want the speed side here, but I'm not sure. But he still T-Line still had the remaining months to back it up, and won the game. Very good win in a crazy ass game.
I just don't like that set even more because PU right now, at least pre-homeless, fat, bulky wish everywhere.
Oh boy.
Like, why you? There's no point running so passive when you can just easily heal around it.
This is why hyper offense exists to get rid of bulk up wish.
There's not a whole lot of hyper offense in PU though. Not right now.
Not right now, but we'll get to see
Like
it later.
the only hyper offensive sets you see are less than ideal mons just trying their best to be offensive and only like half succeeding.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, next up, LC Greedy versus Medaya. This one I didn't really have much notes on. I just said mostly even game, good play. So you guys
I've been honestly impressed with Medaya throughout this. He or she. I don't want to say my gender here, but they've uh they've been flip flopped around a lot of tiers and has done really well this tour.
Hmm. That
Yeah, I realized they seem pretty good.
they are improving after somewhat of a non-negative but kind of a neutral rate or impression of them at the first couple of weeks. They've slowly but surely getting improving.
I
Uh,
mean, they've been. I don't know. I thought Medea has played pretty well throughout this tour.
And
yeah, Micoy, it's not, you can't really judge based on week one, if that's what you mean.
I mean, I do research poke. All right, have you not seen the tier list video?
And to be fair, for week
Medaya's
one, I think
pretty
Medea. Week one, I think Medea was playing PU, if I recall, and they've done more in NU.
Yes,
So
they
Wait,
got hacked a
really?
there's
lot
got to
in
be some
PU.
adjustment there.
They got hacked a lot in PU week one, thanks to Ryuji.
I have I have no idea what Medaya really means this gen. All I know is that they play a lot of old gens lower tiers.
Yes, they're doing it again here. Yeah, this game, nothing really much to say. This was a pretty evenly matched game from what I've seen. But I think you guys may as well talk about this game since you've watched this more.
I thought it was pretty well played by both sides. I don't really know a whole lot about LC. Not gonna lie, never been my tier,
Mm.
but I can't really recall ever. I can't recall the last time I've seen Cynical used, but it's an interesting pick. It's got its uses here in the current meta.
Mm.
Oh yeah, right. This was the game where there was a Cyndaquil and a Bramblin.
And that's the only thing notable. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, can't say I have much to say about this game except for good effort, Cyndaquil. You almost got him.
Yeah.
I
They're
mean, I could see why it'd be used, but
mm,
Yeah, fast, decent special attack, can terra fire,
can terrify
gets
him, but
blazed.
not eruption.
it would be
Oh
damned if it
well,
did get that.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, Cynical doesn't get that, but yeah, it would have been crazy if it did. All right.
would be crazy if any any LC mon gets that.
All right. Well, Charmander? No, no. Overheat.
No,
I'm thinking over. I'm
no.
thinking overheat. I'm thinking overheat. Next
Yeah,
up.
it does not get it.
Next up.
It'd be banned if it did.
If it did, yes.
Any mod will get it. Yeah.
All right. SVDOU. Chris Numbers versus Raph. All right. This one had an early burned Tinglu. Kind of hindered Raph a bit.
It was Iron Hands that got
Oh,
burned.
Iron Hand. Sorry, Iron Hands.
Didn't Tinglu also get burned?
It might
No, it
have.
didn't. No, that was another game. This one it basically got hydro pumped and lost.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Tinglu didn't get burned. This is the game where it just got hydro pumped to death. Yeah, the hands is burned. Okay, I was thinking of her doubles game.
So in return for that little bit of hacks, we got Palafin crit flinching Terra Water Great Tusk in order to get it low, and then ultimately not be as well protected as we would hope.
I mean, Chris had an uphill battle at team preview because I mean, Palafin and Spam was not a good matchup for his team. Not with
Yeah.
his only.
Speaking of spam, can we talk about Raph's Palafin set of Terra Psychic?
I mean, it fits the team, and it put in a lot of work to send headbutting everything. So I don't.
Yeah.
It was a good set. It was a good set for the team.
It's a great set.
Yeah, I
Really putting the
agree. Just
pressure against
pretty
the
unusual.
Raph has done pretty Raph had a lot of really cool set techniques, and this one definitely ranks up there as one of his most creative ones in doubles. Um,
Yeah, I
Goldango.
liked his team. It was pretty. It was interesting.
There was a moment where Chris Numbers tricked his own partner, Great Tusk, with Scarf, netting
That,
it the assault vest.
that was a great tech. I liked that move. It didn't work out in the end. It was. I like the tech.
It's definitely a tech I want to see, more effectively used. I want another doubles game where I get to see this and ultimately, win a game based on it. It's crazy. Palafin did Wade Crash it enough to kill the Tusk, and then ultimately Raph picked up the win with Palafin, and indeed he left. Really unique win by Raph.
I wouldn't even really call that he used poorly at all. It just if if Raph didn't run protect that his Tusk would have put in a lot more work than it did. I
Mm,
mean, it lost on that turn, but had it not ran protect, it might have won in the game.
right, right.
Yeah, oh yeah, that reminds me, didn't Chris Numbers use Trick Golden Go on his own tusk?
I did.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, I did say that. I wish another doubles. I wish another doubles game would have seen that, and then really start to tear with that particular. When Goldango gets rid of its scarf, and then just
It didn't work, but it was cool.
All right, next up, SV Monotype. We got Seru versus Ron. The Tours match.
Big time. Unfortunately, big time crit on turn 1 kind of a damper on it.
The turn
Yeah, I'm not sure that mattered. It was Hisui and Zoroark that took the crit and died, which is fearless crit.
It wasn't worth the risk by Ron, honestly, but at the same time, I think depending on how it was EV'd, if it was like sub Will-O-Wisp, it would probably have eaten it, but
yeah,
but I don't think it was sub Will-O-Wisp because the sucker punch landed.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, that was just too risky of a play.
There were a couple of moments that were risky. The rest of the game, Skeledirge basically had to have luck and skill in his favor. Getting the what was it? Hold on.
It was also a bad matchup for Ron, but that didn't help.
Yeah.
True, not the greatest.
Yeah.
But that's Monotype. Monotype in a nutshell.
It was interesting though because Seru is a Skeletor. The Skeledirge player.
He brought fire, yet he didn't bring Skeledirge.
And he got Ron Skeledirge to be paralyzed and for the most part crippled in this game for luck, outplaying Mimikyu with a sucker punch later on. So yeah, Sarah's actually doing quite well in Monotype.
He's 3-0 right now, I think.
Sarah is a better veteran than most SPL players. Let that sink in.
I mean, like I said, it's also Monotype. I'm not trying to throw any shade at Sarah. He's had a great tour so far, but it's the literal coin flip here.
And he's doing well. He's doing well.
He is doing very well.
It's a coin flip tier that actually can have a lot of prep going into it. Only for it to be thrown out the window once you see the matchup.
Yep. All right. Next.
Like my mistake of bringing fire last week in PSPL, and I just pressed X to choice band Earthquake Dragonite.
Oh,
that was painful.
Unfortunate.
That's nasty.
Yeah. Mistakes were made. I should have brought Dark. That's what I was originally planning to do, but oh well.
Dark is just better.
It is.
All right.
I just half expected Fairy because they don't use it often. Oh, they don't really play mono. So.
I see.
Back to BLT. Sorry, got sidetracked.
All right. Next up, we have the Dressrosa Dracovisions murdering the Sunny Shore Snorlaxes in an 8-2 cluster F.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
The reigning champions of BLT 9 is getting has 2 losses to its name in the early part of this.
I mean, it's still early. You can't count them out ever. The Laxes are never out till they're out. Not with Trace and ESM.
Yeah, believe in Trace and ESM. Hopefully for next week. But for now, one of the few victories.
I sure don't because we're winning. we finally got on our game, so we're gonna win it all now.
Oh boy, and the trash talk has begun. Next up, first of all, one of the few victories that the Snorlaxes have was Star defeating Clean. This was outclassing at its purest form. King Gambit was
and Clean's a good player too.
Yeah. And he
Yeah,
outbanded.
but he was just purely outclassed. I agree.
I mean, it's
Kingambit
Star Master.
was a major
Yes.
threat early on in the game. Like this particular Kingambit right here, that was a major threat. Massively out predicted the Great Tusk for it to be a non-factor for the game. The Terra Flying against the Headlong Rush, not even a CC, but whatever. Um, Iron Head hitting the Rapid Spin, getting on, and then killing it with another Iron Head pretty effectively. And then, getting the Kowtow Cleave on against the Dragon Knight to break its multi-scale. Even though it died, it was still nice to get a chip. And then
I don't have a whole lot.
go on.
So I don't have a lot to say about this game, just because it wasn't actually. It was fairly well played, but just like you said at the start, Star Master just outclassed him.
Also, is this
It's
the
not even like
game
clean.
where
It's not even like
Clean
clean
kept?
played bad.
Yeah.
The only thing is,
Go on.
I think Clean clicked extreme speed too many times when I feel like
That
he
is
could
the
have
only thing
clicked a move that hit everything.
that is the only thing I will say is I do agree with that. He did just clicky speed too much.
Yeah.
He,
After the Dazzling Gleam, Oko the Dragapult, and then the Great Tusk bulk upset, killing Garganical and Amoonguss. That was the most outclass. That was outclass. That was just outclassing. Star wins. Nothing much else to say. Next up we got
Yes, so.
Sword Strike versus JJ, and from an outclass game to a very uninteresting game.
I
There, there.
still feel one was outclassed by the other, though.
Sword Strike played a lot better than JJ did this game.
See,
Yeah,
I told you, Micoy, if he's as good as I remember, he could totally go toe-to-toe with JJ.
but in this game,
And
JJ's
he
on the
is.
rise. JJ's on the rise, but Sword Strike's more proven. He has a better track record.
this game wasn't really a good showing for me, at least. For me, Sword Strike is just one of those players that is very hit or miss. And this one, while being a hit and definitely picking up a win, it wasn't. It was. I need to see more impressive plays from them. It can't be just going for passive plays all the time. Yes, you got the hatch run play with the magic bounce bouncing off spikes. You got JJ being kind of a dumb play, to be honest, with staying in Iron Valiant against the Goldengo, when he could really benefit with Iron Valiant. Like this could kill this, and this effectively.
He did play. JJ did make a lot of unnecessary risks in this game with the Valiant exactly because you don't know what its item is yet. You can't risk the scarf here.
Mm-hmm. He could literally
I
just
mean, I
use it
give
to
credit where
benefit.
credit is due. So
Go on.
I say give credit where credit's due. Sword Strike played well. He he won all the 50-50s. He made the right picks.
I guess. I
Yep,
guess.
he
I
he
just
played
need
better.
to see. Yeah. I just need a better I just need a better perception. I just need a better. For to me, it felt average. Just for me at least. JJ did not play to the best of his abilities in this game. The Sword Strike, I really need to see more of them to really get a good impression
He
out of
just, I mean, just give credit where credit is due, man. He had a good game.
them. It was an okay game. It was an okay game. It's not the worst game in the
He
world.
was good.
All right, next up, Ainscred versus Genius from Hoenn. All right, can you say outclassed?
You predicted this. You predicted this one right last week, didn't you, Poke? You had a Helen winning.
What?
Or
That
who
was
were someone had Helen winning, didn't they?
that
I
was
did.
Was that
last week.
Siffy? Or whoever was the guest last week?
That was
Keanu BDC was the guest last week. I
that was
don't think
Sifikon
he
winning with Hoenn winning against the Fogbound Lake was.
Fogbound Lake.
All right, that's what it was. My bad.
Yeah.
But here in this game, in this particular game in Ainscrad, there were a couple of misplays that were very easily noticed in this game. First of all, the hard switch right here in turn 7 with Chien Pao hard switching against an attacking Great Tusk. That was just a poor choice overall.
There's no reason to do that. If you're gonna switch, go then you Corviknight.
Yes,
You don't
please.
go Chi and Battle there.
Yep. Chien Pao should be really kept um for A, potential win con situations, and B, if you get a good matchup against them, which neither of those things really apply to an attacking Great Tusk. Um,
Depending on the
Yeah,
set,
that played
Chi and
tough.
Pao had a great matchup, but he just decided just to throw it right there.
throw.
Yeah,
That's the word.
which was especially weird when Play Rough had already been revealed on the Great Tusk.
Fluttermane soloing the Corviknight with a para and then the crit kill. That was funny. Nothing much else to say. Ainscrad just had a more solid game. Wasn't really expecting much else.
Me neither.
Like there's the Flare Pit skill, there's the Great Tusk, and then boom, Dondozo coming in. Dondozo in Ubers though, crazy. You're crazy, boy.
Dondozo can go anywhere it wants.
I mean, with the battle being so full of Koraidon being double dance, flame charge, Donato isn't really all that bad of a pick. I mean, sure you have Great Tusk, which cancels it out in most cases, but
Hazing.
if you're really worried about it, it's not a bad fault. It's not a bad security blanket.
True.
Yeah, I mean, the unaware
Because
basically
his team,
allows it to take any attack.
yeah. And looking at Einskrad's team, if you don't have Dodonzo there, you are pretty weak to double dance Grattan here. So it makes sense to add to his team.
You really need to only be careful of Miraidon in that situation, unless you Terra Ground, which would be
Yeah.
funny.
I
Next,
mean,
go on.
Miraidon's not going to do a lot to Miraidon's not going to do a lot to Iron Shreds. Not if it's especially defensive in the sun.
Yep, that's right. Iron Treads exists.
Well, E-terrain, but yeah.
Next up, we got SVUU. We got what was supposed to be Slip versus Shiba, ended up being Henguini versus Vinny the Winnie.
What
I totally
happened
said
here?
Sun did not.
What were you saying, Poet?
I don't know what happened here.
Double
I know
down.
originally,
I don't know.
I know originally Slip didn't make it, but I can't. I don't really remember what happened with the other one because I kind of figured Slip was still going to play, but then Slip got subbed out too. It wasn't a double sub situation. One of them got subbed in first. That was Anguini, but so I guess maybe just Slip couldn't make the time in the end.
Yeah, go Vinny the Winnie. Just send him out again, says Trace. This game
This time it
again.
didn't go too well for him, unfortunately.
This game definitely was.
Yeah.
This game definitely felt like a Tours veteran versus Tours reg sort of matchup that we see in room tours quite a lot when the veteran goes up against the rookie, and this one is definitely evident of this. Vinny brought Charge Beam Iron Jugulus and Mental Herb Donphan. Ineffective in the end.
Which are kind of odd, not gonna lie.
Interesting builds. And well, yes, Mental Herb Donphan did shake off the Tinkaton's Encore. That was really its only purpose.
Shuck off the encore
Yeah.
into shuck off the encore into a spin. Why would you not? I mean, he probably read the probably predicted the Salamence, but I don't know. I still would have Earthquake there. I mean, it's early game. You don't really need to play that aggressively. Not yet,
Not yet,
but
anyway.
it was just I
Mm.
think it's so.
So the obvious threat here was obvious. The Terrifier Trailblaze Bullet Punch Scizor, who shrugged off a flamethrower from Salamence. BD Lol had to really play this one very carefully around, and ultimately, I'd say after it switched out and got the Toxtricity down, I'd say he did. He accomplished all his goals, and towards the end, BD Lol just had a very cleaner game, very decisive game.
Yeah, I recall watching this and thinking VDLOL played a bit better.
Miles better, miles better.
I was more than a little bit here.
All right. Next up, we got Irene 2002 versus Sublime in RU. This one was an interesting game,
Oh,
especially when looking
yeah,
at Irene's
this
play.
is this is a very interesting game. It was
Yeah, that's how you use suicide lead act like in rock. Just
Yep, yep,
let it do something and let it die.
yep. This is how you play a suicide lead effectively. There were a
would
couple of
you guys quit giving tier shits for that? You can't utilize a suicide lead if your opponent doesn't kill it.
Let
He
it kill
kept
it.
it out to let he kept it out waiting for it to get killed.
Live and let it die. Bum bum bum. All right. There, the Frostmoth versus Sylveon wars was pretty interesting. Frostmoth did a lot more damage, so that put Irene at a bigger advantage in the early games.
I
Revavroom
mean, I
Yeah,
wouldn't say that because all it really did was take out Sylvia, and then it died.
only one purpose, but that purpose was well fulfilled. Barraskewda was doing well for Sublime for a little bit there, even taking out Cloyster immediately. But then Revavroom
taking
came
out the frost swamp too.
taking out the Frostmon as well. But then the Revavroom came in and started sweeping with its sweeping set.
Wait, the skid also took out the Oricorio.
They were a choreo, yeah, and a crit, but
Took out 3 months.
it took nearly half the team, and then
Boom, just got it.
Irene just happened to have the Revavroom set with the Terra Water and the Shift Gear and the Life Orb.
It was
Hmm?
it was a great matchup. The one thing I would have done with if on Sublime's case was paralyze it sooner. Don't wait.
Yeah,
They waited too long to toss a T wave in there.
yeah, there was definitely too late to bring in
Or
the Thunder
You,
Wave.
or perhaps just try to stall it out. Like
what?
you know what, like you have things that can hit super effectively but also hit neutral to not very effectively, and it was
The
life
only
orb, so it was on a timer.
the only play you really had was to risk to fish for the Paris. Because I mean, sure it was life orb, but when you switch to Arbor Leva, that kind of offsets that mitigates some of the damage, so it was going to last longer. And you had to fish for the Paris earlier.
Mm. Yeah, but yeah, definitely paralyzing earlier would have definitely helped mitigate a lot of the attacks Irene was doing. Really put the pressure on Sublime, and Sublime had more mons to take out the thing. So yeah, if he had done it sooner, he would have probably won or at least given a chance. But in the end, Irene took the win.
Yeah, like he could have also just baited moves like send in the Arboliva, see if it make it click a gum shot, send in the Mudstail, and then it loses more HP.
Yeah. All right.
Just baited a bunch.
Next up, we got Stareel versus Ziri in NU. Can I
Interesting choice to put Starreal and NU, but especially with Zeri.
can I say
Yeah,
outplayed? Can I say outplayed because this
I
was just
mean, I like Star. It's a great player. putting him in any Uber's theory, that was never going to work out.
Not the strongest tier for Stariel to be in NU, unfortunately. Rotom Terra Fairy was a good defensive type for Ziri, outwitting Pissimian doing the knockoff, and then doing sub Nasty Plot Shadow Ball afterwards.
Yeah, Rotom was dangerous here.
Terra Fairy subplot run was one of my favorite NU sets. Obviously, it's kind of I don't know how well it's going to work now with home out, but before the pre-home, it was a fun set, very effective.
It's a very fun set, very effective, very useful, and Ziri definitely used it to its full advantage. Yeah, towards the end, there was nothing really much else to say. The Star had had more things to worry about, whereas Ziri can just play a comfortable end game with Haunter claiming all the kills in the end. Very good win by Ziri.
Yep, well played.
Next up, Dougsa versus Yes or No, my dude. In SVPU.
I'm remembering right. This was a game. I feel like I saw this game live, but I can't remember.
This one
I did. I
had
was speaking in this game.
this one let me have
Yeah, this was a game.
this one let my head scratching a little bit. First of all, is this Masquerade not wearing boots?
Probably not. It's probably Sash.
It was not. Yeah, it was because it was a lead, but
It was a web setter after all.
it was a suicide web setting lead.
It is a webs lead, but it's just crazy how that was pretty that was a thing that Yes or No my dude brought.
I remember talking to a couple of them afterwards. There were a couple of things that Yes or No my dude actually changed, but they accidentally loaded the wrong team. They mentioned that at the start of the game too, but they
Oh,
like Raichu was supposed to be Terra Ice, for example, not Terra Water for good bite.
oh,
And those couple of those moves would have actually won them this game. But he actually he loaded the wrong version.
Yeah,
oh,
Terra
that's
Ice.
unfortunate.
It was
I wish it
unfortunate.
was more helpful. Terra Ice was definitely a lot more helpful in this situation. So for Yes or No my dude on that regard. Squawkabilly living on one after a Brave Bird plus aftermath damage to kill two Mons that were the Gabite and the
Yeah.
yeah and the Skuntank. Uh, Towards the end though, Raichu could have won if it had gotten a para or a crit against Miss Drevis. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But yeah, Dougsa just had a pretty. Dougsa had a pretty good game around here, despite having webs pressed against him. Dougsa still played a pretty good game.
I mean,
To
it's
be
Doug's.
fair,
He's one of the better players around.
Of course.
to be fair, let's look at Doug's team. He has a Mischievous, a Boots Pyroar, what item was his squawk ability? Regardless, it's
It was
unaffected by webs. The Boots Raichu, most of his mons are not affected by webs at all.
it was a pretty standard team. Yeah.
So webs wasn't even that big of a
No,
hindrance
it
in the
was
long
not.
run.
Not really. I think he. I
So
think he did
yeah,
prep well for it. He did prep well for it. Um. Next up, SVLC. Loki fan versus Elfuzon. This was another interesting game. There were a couple of moments that left me like, what? What happened there? First of all, Loki fan having his Wingull wake up early to kill Gamora. Well, wake up early as in 2 turns in, not the usual 3. There was a moment where Loki fan managed.
what do you mean
Usual.
usual three?
You mean 3 is the max? You know that, right?
Oh yeah, 3 was the max, but he woke up at 2 turns in.
Yeah,
That's pretty normal.
not, that's normal. Micoy 3
It's
is the rare one, if anything.
it's rare if you wake up on a. It's more rare if you wake up on 1. 2 is actually the median. It's normal then.
Oh, great. That's
Yeah, I think you're just considered unlucky if you
or me,
wake up
Yeah,
after
you
or
3.
you're me, and you always get the 3 turns maximum before you wake up. Um, Logie Van managing to outplay a potentially dangerous crab brawler by just straight up going for psychic. Although to be
I consider that play.
although
No, it's
although
not.
although to be fair though, to be fair, why wasn't he going for fire punch instead of ice punch there?
Maybe he didn't run it,
Maybe.
but it wouldn't make much sense
Yeah.
to Terrifier. Well, it does, but
It
you should go
does.
Terrifier for defensive reasons. But
Yeah, Willow. Yeah, of course, Will o wisp prevention first and foremost. But yeah, had he gone for fire, even Meowth's last resorts couldn't stop Loki Fan from having the necessary win cons. Loki Fan just had a pretty good game, all things considered. Well, Fuzone did all right. It's
Alex
just
had a
Loki Fan
good
had a
try.
better game. Yeah, that was the game in a nutshell. A very solid play by Loki Fan. Impressed. I was impressed. All right. Next up, best game of the week alert. This was definitely the match of the night, match of the week. Zern versus SMB.
Oh
it was
boy.
Sylveon went crazy in this game.
I love
Yeah.
that Sylveon set. This Sylveon set was well. First of all, the early Hydro Pump miss in turn 1 was pretty unfortunate for Zern. So that kind of crippled him a little bit in the opening, letting his Tinglu also get burned. Um. Oh
I
no,
mean, there was SMB
SMB's
who's
Tinglu getting
got
burned.
burned.
That was also like a thing that happened. But you know, once the Sylveon came in and having substitute, having hyper voice, having calm mind, that went off instantly.
I actually spoke with someone and they actually SMB and Alexis like they because Zern has brought Sylveon every week so far. Like, there's no way they're going to break it 3 weeks in a row, right? He wanted the third week, and
Brought Sylveon every
because
week.
they were actually considering something else as one of their last slots to help counter Sylveon, but it's like, no, they're not going to bring it 3 weeks in a row, right? They
They
did.
did.
And
Yeah, you should never honestly prep for whatever they're
You
constantly
should.
bringing, regardless.
You
You
should,
don't
especially considering
know what they won't bring.
Sylveon's also a great DOU mon to begin with, so
yes,
it is what it is. But
I think seeing Sylveon pretty much be a wild card favorite in most doubles games, and this one definitely is a wild card set, but ultimately it carried through into a pretty good game. SMB though, and props to him for bringing one trying to bring a somewhat of a hindrance against Sylveon. First of all, the clear Smog Amogus. Uh, that one was that one was pretty much the well, except for Arcanine as well. There were there still is some prep against the Sylveon, even if it's
I mean, SMB, it's SMB. He still had a really good game, regardless. It was a lot closer than it could have been otherwise.
yes, ending was very
Yeah,
close.
like considering how dangerous that Sylveon set was into his team, he put up a fight, a long fight.
Very long fight. Ending was very close. Terragrass Arcanine managing to burn Iron Hands. Zern winning with just Sylveon left. It was a great game. All things
It
And it
considered,
was.
was probably the longest doubles game we'll have.
we'll never get to
I mean,
see
they
something
were
that good.
both taking their time. They're both taking their time making smart moves. So can't blame them.
Yeah, I
Definitely
just mean
evidence of
turn-wise.
experience.
Oh,
That
for
was
sure.
very long.
Next up, we got JoJo
Those
number.
games are short, and that was over
Go.
30 turns.
Next up, We got
What?
JoJo numbers
Did
versus
you not hear what I said?
Huh? Yeah, I know, 30 turns. All right. Next up, JoJo numbers versus felines in SV monotype. This was water versus water, and Pokeart, you were scared because you look at these teams and thought, man, this is gonna be a stally game, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's the one match I didn't actually watch this week.
I mean, it wasn't going to be
Because we were
stally when you
running late.
consider that JoJo was bringing offensive water. Felines are more still water, but
It was offensive
it
versus
was never going to be that bad. Yeah, it was.
However, Rotom Wash was the MVP of this game. It was, it had the substitute, it had the nasty plot, it also had the thunderbolt. But watch what he does against the Gastrodon.
Oh.
Watch what he does against the Gastrodon. Like, yeah, you would think it had, you would think that it wouldn't have anything against Gastrodon. Nope, it carried stored power and absolutely O-coded it.
Oh.
It carried stored power and was pretty much free to do Thunderbolt, pretty much everything had felines. And early forfeit in 19 turns, JoJo picked up a win in this very techie game.
That was a win on
Wow.
preview. That was good prep. They had to have expected Gashon or something of that sort, but that was good prep.
Great prep and really carried JoJo.
Damn.
JoJo Numbers has been doing well in Monotype. This is one of the leading factors.
JoJo has been very good this year.
All right. Yeah, that was the murder done. The Dracofish is absolutely getting their just dues here with having such a good team to balance up against the champs Snorlax. Hopefully they can come back this week. Next up,
Never
we
count them out.
we got the Rufflets tying the Phantom Trout with a 5-5 even score. Let's look at how they did it. First of all, SVOU Sylveon used Calm Mind versus Lax.
Sylveon has also been really impressive this year.
Yeah.
Oh, he has beaten 3 very strong players in OU so far. I'm actually very impressed. But for this game, Lax had the stronger early on, burning the King Gambit early, and then Iron Valiant was just outplayed by a Sash Breloom.
That was a nice tech by Lax. I mean, normally they're either life orb or loaded dice nowadays, so that was nice.
Wait, I thought Sash was common.
Not as much now. It's still common, but it's most nowadays. You mostly it's that and the bulldoze. You don't see that really, but
Oh yeah.
loaded dice is probably the most used item now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I could.
I haven't seen it
I mean,
recently.
it's great synergy with Technician Bullet Seed.
Yes, yeah. Technician Bullet Seed, and then Technician pretty much everything. Mac Punch, and then Bulldoze even. All right, good. Good set there. Towards the end game, though, Baxcalibur outplayed Dragonite by being Terra Ghost, just knocking out the extreme speed very early on for Lax, and just setting up with Dragon Dance and Icicle Spear to beat it and Iron Valiant. Even on Encore, which Dragonite Encore was interesting.
Oh yeah. I saw that. I'm like, wait, what?
Explain, why would you bring hardcore Encore Dragonite with an E speed?
I mean, it might have been more of a support Dragonite looking at the team, like because it can get defog, gets bruised. You can use it as a revenge code with E speed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gets
it could have been
Encore
the
apparently.
Yeah, it's you can use that as a support Dragonite. And considering he has Sash Breloom, and then you have Sash Breloom, so it makes sense that you would want some sort of hazard removal.
True.
And his team was more offensive in nature, so Dragonite support Dragonite fits.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm just saying Encore? You'd never really see Encore played with Dragonite. Right, especially with support Dragonite.
I mean, I've seen it occasionally. It's not used often, but it does get used.
I've just never seen it, period.
Me neither. Me neither. It's a really unique set. Ultimately, it didn't pay off for Lax, though, as Sylveon Used Line won the game. Next up, we got ACR1 making his BLT first appearance in this year versus Mihawk. And this was a good showing by ACR1. Very, very good showing. You got King Gambit getting a pretty, well, I wouldn't say lucky. It's just a crit off of Corviknight with Terra Dark, while Cinderace Court changed to get rid of the hazards. That was a pretty cool. That was a pretty cool moment in the game. Really put the pressure on Mihawk very early on. And then towards the end, there wasn't really much to say for me, at least. It's just me. ACR1 just had a very strong game. Even surviving with the Iron Moth was very good. And then, as you can see, the Iron Valiant breaking out the Spirit Break on the King Gambit. And then, yeah, ACR1 just had a pretty effective game. What do you guys think?
I'm actually watching it now. I didn't see this one yet. I tried to watch as many games as I could this week, but not a whole lot of time with work.
Like I said, like I want to see ACR1 compete more in BLT. I think he's a very underrated player if he's the right time. I guess maybe Raj does have a little bit more stronger OU players just sitting waiting in the wings, but bringing out ACR1 now is a good time, and I wish we could see more ACR1 in the future.
He did play well.
It was all right. It was all right.
Yep, ready.
Next up, we got Taka versus Mashing in SV Ubers. Now, this game was a game. This one I feel appropriate in calling it a game. First of all, bringing Tandem Mouse to Ubers. What a cute thing to do.
Mousehold.
Mousehold. Sorry, I'm just used to saying Tandem Mouse. It's just a cute name. Mousehold to Ubers. Again, interesting, but considering the amount of ghost types, that's pretty risky to build.
Amount of ghost types?
You got Frostlass.
Really not a whole lot of goals.
Well, there's Frostlass.
Frostlass is not used that often. Flood Domain is the
And
most prominently used one.
common, yeah, that's pretty much the only ghost type you'll usually encounter.
Last is occasionally used for the spikes, but it doesn't really do a whole lot.
Speaking of the Frostlass, Grimmsnarl out taunting it was first of all very good play early on outwitting outwitting with Prankster against the taunting Frostlass to just set up screens early for Koraidon. Although this really didn't pay off when Attack managed to get a crit with the bulk up Ice Spinner Great Tusk against the Koraidon at +1. Well, at +1 for it.
He was very lucky early on with the crits, both on Grimmsnarl and Koraidon. But the Fluttermane mind games were that wasn't bad. He won that 50-50, out predicting mashing on the sucker punches.
Yes.
Yeah, although I gotta wonder, is there a reason Mashing didn't like Iron Head or something sooner? Or like, I don't know, predict the sucker punch once it got to +4?
It
Maybe.
was you probably just guessed he was going to keep going with Calm Mind because it was mind games the whole way, and Taco ended up winning the mind game.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, well, it was
Yeah, by,
definitely.
I guess, making the obvious play of attacking right when you get to max.
Yeah. Having Ironhead or even Kowtow Cleave against the Fluttermane definitely could have benefited him in the long run, but in the end, the mind games really helped Taka win this pretty good, this pretty okay Uber's game. Not good. It was just okay. Next up we got the incredibly, the incredibly like surprising game of Udon Girl versus Rashay in UU. This game was another case of interesting for the sake of being interesting. Gastrodon, early game wall for the first few turns, completely immune to Quaquaval because it brought Terra Ghost. And also taking good
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how that seems standard.
and taking good outrages from Cyclizar too. It was a very strong sense of urgency from coming from Rashay. Um, Pelipper couldn't really kill the Tyranitar in time, just sacking Rashay's Tinkaton in the process. At the very least, he could have maybe saved it. I don't know. Oh. In the end, though, it was really Lycanroc who really stole the show for Rashay, really putting that work to good use, setting up at the right time for Swords Dance, sweeping the rest of Udon Girl's team. Very solid play by Rashay.
Yeah, that Lycanroc was terrifying here.
Yeah, and Udon Girl just didn't really have a counter to it by the end. And ultimately, got swept.
Yeah, also, I think Udon Girl brought us Specs Elements again.
Going back to your roots. You gotta go back to your roots, Udon Girl, if you wanna win.
But what Micoy they lost here? What do you
You
mean?
didn't mean. If you wanna win games, you have to really go back to your roots. All of your mons should be choice locked mons.
Trickle down,
Oh
trickle down.
yeah,
Like where was
What are
that
you doing, Mike? Come on now.
the Udon Girl of old? All right. SVRU. We got Piyush versus Inder. Another
Inder
very
just played better.
yeah, Inder.
Isn't
Huh?
I would say isn't indoor more Ubers and isn't Peach more OU? I mean, I guess
Yep.
I don't know, maybe they're shuffling around to get people in. I guess this week,
It was definitely evident
kind of
in
like
the fan
how we've been
Yeah.
reaction
doing. But
more than the rufflets, but yeah, it was very interesting. Inder expertly playing around the Piyush's Oricorio using the Heracross range and Mudsteel Stone Edges very effectively. That was a pretty good. That was pretty good. Grafii turned out to be a pretty solid threat under Indeedee's psychic spam. We got the Swords Dance Psychic Seed Acrobatics doing well against the Heracross at
They're
one point.
flying.
Terraflying Grafii doing well against the Acrobatics against the Heracross. But Rotom paralyzing it at the perfect time. No, not Rotom, Klefki paralyzing it at the perfect time. This is what we're talking about in paralyzing at a good enough time to absolutely get some leverage against, for example, this being an unburdened mon going to sweep the rest of your team. This is what we're talking about. And then towards the end, Pius tried to cripple Gardevoir with Scarf, but Inder cleaned with it by using the endgame Moonblast and Terra Fairying to kill Iron Thorns. Although, why did he try to Dragon Dance? He already tricked it with Choice Scarf. Why would you Dragon Dance there, Piyush? I'd play, but good. Vote, you still there?
I'm watching the game. Like I said, I haven't caught all the games this week. Sorry.
All right, all right. Oh, sorry. Next up is SVNU. Got Skimmy the God versus Acrotix. Now this one, PokeArt, the Skimmy has some weird builds.
Yeah, remind me of what they were.
Got Earthquake Toxicroak, for starters.
Oh. Yeah, that doesn't match up very well into this team of Acrotixes, though.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to begin with, honestly.
Yeah.
There's not a
Yeah,
whole lot of use of it here
yeah,
in
like,
this tier
is
and
it
just
supposed to
in
be
tier
for
in general.
Nuzlocke Swalot?
That's about the only thing you would get use for it. I mean,
Mm. Yeah. There's also Terrablast Lurantis later on.
that's actually pretty standard.
That I could see
Yeah,
that
that's
more.
very standard.
I could see that more. Although
It's normally not the mon you would tear in a game, but it does. A lot of them do run it because they don't exactly have the greatest move pool.
yeah,
I
but
don't think
Terrablast.
Yeah.
it's an off. Yeah, it's normally like half the time it's like Leaf Storm, Terra Blast, Fire,
I
Synthesis
thought
to
it,
God, or
I thought it was normally
Electric. It's up to
Terra Electric.
it. It just depends on the team. Those are the two of the more common types.
I guess.
Uh,
I guess.
Because I mean,
Go on.
if you reach to if you reach to coil eel, a lot of times they run steel, so then you run Terra Fire because it wins that matchup.
Mm.
uh,
True. True. Toward the over the course of this game, this one I pretty much noticed, and this is maybe a nitpick to some of you, but for me, Skimmy was just hard switching way too much in this game. Losing Zoroark early when it could have been a serious threat, letting Rotom take a strong aerial ace when sacking Ursaring would have been the correct play. Yeah, just a multiple switch against and try to take some damage off of it. That was, eh, not really a strong suit for Skimmy. Ultimately, though, it was Scyther's set cleaning the endgame. Thief took out the Rotom. Aerial Ace killed everything else.
Thief was an interesting move to have on that.
So,
Is it specifically for Rotom?
probably.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of uses out there for Rotom, but Rotom is a threat this tier,
Rotom's a very
and you don't really hit it otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it
that's
does all, and it gets the tech boost. So I mean,
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Next up. So yeah, Acrotix played a very strong game. Like this was like we're all
he's
from
honestly one.
hmm?
They're one of they're one of the better NUers in the tour.
Yep. Like
Oh
Acrotix was
yeah. Also, isn't that a Specs Glaceon?
it was. Yeah, it took out Zoroark pretty early on.
Yeah, that thing, looking at Skimmy's team, I don't think anything resists that thing.
It was gonna auto lose to it, you think?
Glaceon can be a menace, and Glaceon is a menace in NU if used right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't see Glaceon used very much in NU at all,
But
no.
when it
Not as
does get
much anymore, but it was
but when it does get used, it's
for
used
a
very
while there.
effectively. Go
For a
on.
while there, it was used pretty often, but its usage has since died down.
But when it does get
Interesting.
used very effectively. Tips to all potential Glaceon users. Next up, this one, a matchup I'm very much happy with because this is a game that actually made me. This one was a very interesting game. 10% versus Danny in PU.
Did find it the first turn, couple turns made me chuckle this one, just stealth rocking the hatcher. I know he was obviously predicting a switch, but neither of them were doing much to either. So there's no reason to just keep stealth rocking there, just attack it.
Yeah, that was a pretty like strong moment from 10% early on.
Doug Trio proved to be a pretty early game threat, using Substitute and Sword Stance to trap and kill Quaxwell.
Is this the game where the Hatcham kept using Nuzzle?
Yes. It was really fun. I like how that's the one you remember about the game.
Yeah, that is what I remember, because I'm like, use something that isn't Nuzzle. It's not gonna work.
I mean, it's a standard Hatcham set, but yeah, and that's it. But
Maybe he was trying to predict some sort of switch. Maybe it's
the whole point of the whole point of Hatcham is to block hazards and cripple.
That's really its only role.
It is the only role, yes.
Danny did manage to play the Sucker Punch Honchkrow very nicely. Although keeping his Hatcham alive would be better. Rest Talk, Fairy, Terra Fairy. He could have been some use here. Negative, using Encore and generally healing itself along with Dark Tricks was good. Like Danny was doing pretty well for himself in the first couple of turns. And then Dark Tricks got burned. And this is where the downfall starts to have, as Tinkata that it really only leaves his Tinkata up against a fresh Go-Goat, who bulked up and Hornleeched it towards the end.
Biggest advantage of Tenebrite is Danny didn't really have any switch-ins to hound him in this game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There was pretty much the only counter against it. And yeah, towards the end, you got the burned on the Dark Tricks, and then Honchkrow after Honchkrow died, Go-Goat was left. It was not Encore. It was not Encoring left. It just bulked up and Hornleeched. Very, very good. Very good win by Tenebrite in a very close game.
Was Danny is a great player, so this was a good one for him.
Next up, this one maybe surprised a lot of people. Hacker versus Ace Hunter 1.
Oh, yeah.
They came out swinging in this game, very, very early on, mostly even. This was a mostly even game towards the beginning. Poniard, after a good long while of just them being solid players and just outplaying each other, to the best of their abilities, Hacker did bring a Terraflying Poniard. That proved to be quite the threat. They're boosting up Sword Stance, adding in Defiant because Ace Hunter brought Rock Tomb. Got the win.
Yeah, that was.
Got the wind off of Poniard very nicely there. Fortunately though, Krogan came in at just the right good time, sucker punching pretty much everything else, and then Voltorb came in. Didn't really get to get.
Yeah, Crow
didn't get much use out of his Voltorb, but in the end he didn't really need it.
I didn't expect Frogunk to be the MVP here, but it was.
It really was, and just the Poniard losing here, the Voltorb going to kill that, and then the Gothita leaving only with Gothita left. That was a pretty good play there. Ace Hunter had a really good end game towards the end. Very good.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up, Sundays and Sundays versus Akaru Kokio. Turn 1.
Oof.
Turn 1. Sundays had unfortunate hacks going against him. First of all, the Icy Wind miss. And then just Gomora just carrying Energy Ball, getting the Spadef drop. There was an unfortunate Hydro Pump miss at turn 6, which is right around here. If he had killed the Chiyu, who would have been very good. Or no, Heat Wave. Sorry, Heat Wave miss, not Hydro Pump miss. It was Heat Wave that missed. Yes, or was it? Yeah. Oh no, yeah, it was.
I don't recall.
No. It was Iron Bundle used Hydro Pump. The opposing Chiyu avoided the attack. Yes, I was right with Hydro Pump
Oh,
missing.
that, yeah.
Other than that, though, Akaru had a stronger game. It was an expected loss, but Sundays could have had a much better chance if it weren't for the hacks.
Agreed.
Yeah, I can't say I expected him to win, but it was a pretty unfortunate game.
Next up is
Sundays did play well, given the hand that he had.
yeah. I agree on that one. Like he had a good hand. He played to the best of his abilities against Akaru. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. But maybe bring him back for another week. Well, let's see what happens. Next up, Dunox versus Korea. Down user in monotype. This was Water versus Fairy, and Hatcherin became an early game threat with a good set, to be honest. Having Psychic against Toxapex and Giga Drain against the Gastrodon very effectively.
Yeah, it's not often that they run that, but I've seen it happen.
I've
It's
seen,
more frequent in monotype,
yeah,
not so much in other tiers.
it's just a
Yeah, it's
specialty of
not even all
monotype.
that frequent in mono, to my knowledge.
And it's one of the best ways to deal with water on Fairy.
Oh, Terrafair is just amazing, and with Hattrens running sets like these, it could be pretty much unstoppable. Korea just had a pretty stronger play in this game than Dunox. Not gonna lie, this was a game I really didn't expect to go Korea's way. First of all, getting the paralyze on the Quack of Owl, preventing any speed increase on there. You only really had Greninja left. Azumarill getting to Belly Drum at a good time. Maybe it wasn't for the best though because it got Trailblaze. Although it did quite a lot of damage to Toxapex even with the thing. And yeah, again, Toxapex users, why you no run Haze anymore?
I
Did it
mean,
lose haste?
no, it still gets hit. I
No,
mean,
then.
Azumarill didn't really do anything in the end to it anyways after the Baneful Bunker, because
Yeah,
that kind of crippled it. It was
that's really the only
Pex
thing.
was going to win that battle regardless.
Yeah. Well, unless you get a crit on your with the Trailblaze.
Unless great, yeah.
Yeah, Dunox tried to get momentum going for pretty much the whole game, and unfortunately, just due to hazards being a prevalent thing, due to Quaquavel getting paralyzed, it was just a hard game to win for Dunox at this point, and Korea just really took advantage of it, using the Flutter
Don't
main.
forget the Energy Ball, Iron Valiant, and the Thunderbolt, the Flutter Main.
Yeah.
He basically went all out to prep for water.
It was an anti-water Terra Fairy team.
Water is one
Why
of
do
the
you keep
best teams,
calling
so
it
I
Terra Fairy?
don't blame him. Yeah, that is a good question.
All, all right, and now it's time to
It's
move
just
on.
very.
And now it's time to move on to your series, where the Iron Bundles win against the Articunos with a 6-4.
Before we do that, can I go eat dinner? Can we break?
All right, take a break.
All right, going back. Your series now. Iron Bundles versus the Anastar Articunos.
Yep.
Yep.
The Iron Bundles picked up a nasty win over the Articunos. A particularly nasty one at that, too.
It was close for a while, till the last 3 games.
Should have been a tie, just saying. Avery's got robbed.
All right. First off, you got the Chaitanya versus Krang match, which we did watch, and I was freaking out over because Chait kind of did play not well against Krang.
Well, also the matchup sucked.
It was a sucky
It
matchup,
sucked ass.
but overall, was not a very good match to watch.
I mean, crying basically read everything and just burned everything to a crisp. The only thing that really stood in the way was Scarf Meowscarada.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
crying read the switch when it came and body pressed it, and just basically that won the match right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jade did not play his Scarf Masquerada well.
No, he did not.
If he had, if he would have won. Anyway, we talked about that last video. Let's move on.
Let's say it would have been closer.
All right.
Yeah, maybe, but like the Dragon Bolt, the Dragon, the Subway's Dragon Bolt just kind of was
everything.
really, yeah, it was such a poor matchup into that.
Quickly shut it down. Anyway, next up is the other OU match. We got Kebab Mele versus Shiloh.
Which, oh my lord, that was a good game. That was so close.
It was a very good game. Shiloh's Paradox Mons being booster energy speed was an interesting choice. Like, you could have brought attack for, well, you could have brought defense for Great Task. You could have brought Sandy Shocks. Sandy Shocks was a surprise in bringing OU, but I can sort of guess why. Roaring Moon not being attack and instead focusing on speed. Again, everything was just built on speed.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
There was also the Golden Go. There was also the Golden Go using eject pack to free itself from being trapped by a Magnezone. That was a pretty smart play, honestly.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. I expect no less from Kebab.
Kebab has recovered well after week 1.
Yeah, very, very much so. But
it was not pretty.
Just hacks and not the greatest of news, I guess.
Overall, though, throughout the course of the rest of the game, though, like Kebab did have some trouble playing around the boosted Sandy Shocks. It kept outspeeding, of course.
Oh yeah,
kills.
When we were watching the game, we were like, wait, this Sandy Shocks is kind of kicking us. We might be done, but no, the Iron Moth was booster energy speed, so it could outspeed and kill it. And we're like, oh, okay. I'm not sure if this wins us the game, but this makes things better at least. Oh, this is gonna be close.
Ultimately, though, Dragapult was still alive enough to get a sucker punch out of Excalibur, ultimately netting Kebab the W.
Wait, can we also mention that Shiloh kind of choked?
Did? Where?
By using
he didn't think that he was going to that Kebab was going to run Sludge Wave. He predicted the fire move. That's why he ran. Terrored. That's why he terrored and DD'd. He predicted no Sludge Wave.
But why would we fire move the Dragonite?
You could switch too. Just saying, because you had because it would still be because I cannot talk. I'm AD. You could switch into the Dragapult, and depending on the set, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a choke. At that point, it was basically over, given what we saw.
Yeah.
I think it was a choke. I don't know what your Dragonite set was. What did your Dragonite set have?
It was Fire Punch. I want to say I can't remember what that. I can't remember. It was Fire Punch, Roost, Dragon Dance, and I think it was Dragon Claw. I can't remember the last slot. The last slot though.
With lefties too.
Should have just Dragon Clawed, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, but then you lose to Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Well,
It wasn't a joke.
Dragapult was low and Bax has Ice Shard though.
We didn't have a shard.
You didn't?
You don't have what?
No, we
What
didn't have a
are
shard.
you running?
What the heck were you running?
What
No,
is
it wasn't a joke.
Okay, I see what you mean now.
Wow.
I guess it was just lost from that point, but why are you not running Ice Shard?
Was it?
Because the team was built on speed.
Was it like
So was it like
we wouldn't be using Ice Shard? We wanted Bax to be a breaker because the rest of the team was high on speed, but we didn't really need Ice Shard as much with that. So
was it like Dragon Dance?
I
Crash,
guess,
Wave Rush,
but
Earthquake?
Bax was Dragon Dance. It was Dragon Dance.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense then.
All right.
If it was banned, we would have ran Shard. But yeah, it wasn't a joke. Shiloh played the best he could with what he had.
Right, yes. It was a very close game,
okay.
and props to both players for absolutely killing it in OU. All right, next up, we got Layson versus Aberforth in Ubers.
So much for anti-Aberforth. This matchup was a little yikes for Layson.
I mean, Aberforth. I'm obviously a little biased. It's my team, but Aberforth is the best Ubers player in the pool.
I mean, you're not
Layson
wrong.
was sad he couldn't go undefeated.
Players in this pool, but the best? You got some stiff-ass competition.
I mean, until this week, the guy had not lost a single match in a team tour anywhere. Across the winter league and BLT.
Oh boy,
just saying.
Talk about his week 4 game. All right.
No, that was yeah, and he got cheesed the hell out of.
Anyway.
Right. Yeah. Wait, now I remember that.
Anyway, in this particular.
But anyways, yeah, carry on.
In this particular matchup, Chien Pao hit hard in this matchup. Like Ice Spinner for damage dealing, Brick Break to take out the King Gambit. It was a pretty good set, all things considered.
He was just in case we ran into like screen cheese or something. But yeah, that's why we ran Brick Break over Sword.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Also, the threat of Grimmsnarl coming into play was also kind of a huge threat, I guess.
Yep. That's exactly why.
Ending was very, very close. It basically came down.
It was. Lesson played a good game.
It basically came
considering the matchup, yeah, Layson played damn well.
Yeah, for a matchup against Aberforth, Layson did play extremely well. The ending was very close. It came down to a low roll from Electro Drift. We did the count.
Yeah. I also looked at the count. It was indeed a low roll.
It was a low 90. Well, no, wait, let me see. It was basically like a low 90s to basically an OCO. But yeah, the fact that it did 97, which is like below mid average, that one hurt. That one stung for Layson, and that ultimately cost him the game.
Yeah, it was. It was due to a roll. Either Aberforth wins because he survives throw, or Layson wins because he gets a higher roll. That was the only outcome.
I mean, that's how the cookie crumbles, but it's two good players going at it sometimes.
All came down to.
So overall, a pretty good game.
Yeah. Speaking of good games, TMM versus Avarice is next in UU.
Robbery.
Are you sure that's a good game?
I don't know. Well, I was speaking.
Avarice wins. He just get crit by Earthquake at the end. Just saying.
I was speaking. Yeah,
you did, Chris. Play. You don't get to complain.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so TMM's Tinkaton survived way too many hits to kill Avarice's Greninja. Like,
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
it kept walling the hell out of Greninja's surfs, and it was crazy. Got 3 Toxic Spikes off, though, which was neat. There was a moment where Hippowdon outstalled the Mimikyu with Burn plus Sand plus Rocky Helmet plus Fly Forward, basically enabling it to be crippled.
That's just what Hippowdon does.
A lot, yep. All right.
Also, I don't think it was Rocky Helmet though. I think you're thinking of TNM Slowbro.
Yeah, it was leftovers.
Leftovers. Okay.
Slowbro no Slowbro is not Rocky Helmet either.
Hmm? I'm almost certain it was.
No, it is not. It just
What? Okay.
Was though.
Okay. Interesting.
Opposing Gyarados used Waterfall. It's not very effective. Slowbro lost 21% of its health. The opposing
yeah, you're
Gyarados
right.
was hurt by the Rocky Helmet.
My bad. I misremembered. I'm sorry.
All right.
My bad. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I apologize.
it's fine. I would obviously know it was my own teammate's team.
Okay.
I mean, my teammates here playing too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my bad. I forgot. I'm sorry.
I gotta ask Pode.
What's
Why
up?
would Mouse hold Beat Up, or why did Avarice go for Beat Up instead of Population Bomb?
Well, you see, when TMM switched in the Slowbro on the beat up,
I did not get to see his team. I'm sure he still had population ball. He just chose beat up over bite her because it doesn't exactly have a great move pool.
Right, Bite would have made more
see,
sense.
Micoy, you use beat up because it's a non-contact move, and yeah, you know when TMM switched in the Slowbro against the beat up Mousehold, well, had he used Population Bomb that turn, I think the Mousehold would have died before the Slowbro.
Yep.
It was very funny in hindsight, but like that's crazy.
Like I said, I didn't see his team, but I'm sure he ran it. There's no way you don't run population. There's no way you do not run population bomb on a Marshall.
The only reason you don't run Population Bomb on a Mousehold is if it's doubles and it's a utility mon.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm with Oakard here.
So the Terror Flying Gyarados set proved to be a pretty big threat until Slitherwing got enough range to kill it with First Impression.
A Terra Bug banded First Impression.
Which did a lot. Did a lot of damage. Ultimately, though, TMM won in a close game against Avarice's Scizor, even against the Calm Mind Boomburst Screamtail, which was also a thing in the end game.
Yes, it was.
But ultimately, TMM's bulky Hippowdon withstand the hits and ultimately won against the Scizor. Very good game.
Mm-hmm. With a lot of crits. Yes. There were 4 crits in that game, I think.
I'm surprised you counted.
Well, I know Avarice got 3, and I know TM got at least 1.
Alright, next up we got Arse9 versus the Derpy Boy.
Who changed his name to DB, apparently.
These boys. There were a couple of moments in this game that really grinded my gears. First of all, the early hacks for Frostlass against Heracross Stone Edge miss, and the Spadef drop from the Shadow Ball. Early hacks not in the favor of Arse9. But then,
it's really gonna stop him.
but then Arse9 revealed Crocodile. and it revealed Terra Water, and it revealed Bulk Up, and it was able to kill Iron Thorns pretty quickly, and then outplaying Terra Electric Cloister for the Earthquake kill.
I could be wrong, but that is most certainly an Arsenine set. I've used that set in RU before from an Arsenine team.
And you know what?
I mean, the man's a great player and a great builder.
And you know what? It proved to be quite the effective
for
game.
sure.
As a
Always has.
winning. There's the taunt, there's the shell smash.
Yeah, and I'm assuming oh yeah. That was what I was gonna say. Nothing.
Alright. So yeah, Arsenine definitely dominated Derpy Boy in this game. Unfortunate for Derpy Boy, but hopefully you'll slot him in
Yes, it's very unfortunate that this was his first week playing.
Hopefully
Yeah, I felt bad about that too, but we're getting back in. It's just how the cookie crumbled with we had to shuffle the lineup every week because we have an army trying to get everyone in.
Right.
Yeah, that's the downside of drafting an army.
For sure.
Right.
That was not the plan, it's just how it played out, but I'm very, very happy with the team we ended up with.
Oh well. Next up in SVNU, we got Saba versus Gorex. Now, Saba, now, credit to Saba. He more than dominated the first half, using Passimian to effectively to tank hits against the Zoroark. Very cool.
And immediately killed Chansey.
Yeah, we kind of joked about that. Gorix thought he was going to U-turn because why would you even? It was obviously banned, but why would you close combat a Sandaconda when you was getting a glare?
Right.
Normally you would U-turn, right?
Right. It was pretty.
I have no idea.
I mean, in the end, it was the right move, but I mean, I would have played the same. I would have gone U-turn. I would have expected U-turn because.
I would just like to say that we totally choked this.
Yes. I was gonna say like the yeah, I was gonna say as well. The turn 11, it would have been nice for Scyther to come in at turn 11, get the U-turn off, switch back into Saba's momentum from there. But then, unfortunately,
maybe.
Hmm?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Unfortunately, though,
He's on the phone.
Sandaconda's Terra Dragon Coil Earthquake set proved deadly. Bruxish did not need to come in on a hard switch.
Don't forget Stone Edge.
And a Stone Edge, but most importantly, the Bruxish hard switch. And had he used Haze Muck early, he could have prevented the sweep from happening.
Yes, when we saw him Haze, I mean, I personally didn't know the team by heart, so when I saw him do that, I'm like, is there a reason we didn't do that earlier? I mean, was he trying to like bait the Terra also by sending the Bruxish in?
Maybe, but that really wasn't effective in the end. The Sandaconda.
I was a little confused.
And there was no downside to terroring Dragon there.
Yeah, that's why I was a little confused. Because surely did he not know that it would Terra Dragon? I knew it would.
Yeah, it was.
I would have psychic fanged there.
It could have been useful, but no. It would have been a useful play there had it happened earlier, but no. Gorax ultimately took the win. It was a preventable sweep. It was going to be a surprising win, but ended up, he choked away a good win there. Poor Saba.
Yeah, yeah, he was winning for a lot of the game, and I guess he didn't shut down the Sandaconda quick enough. And like a lot of us in Team Chat who don't understand and you in the slightest were like, yo, I think we're good. We won. And I'm looking at the Sandaconda because I'm aware this thing could be a huge freaking threat if we're not careful. I'm like,
Right?
let's just pray it's not Coil. Oh my god, it's Coil. We're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gorks did a good job recovering and setting himself up and to be in that position in the end. Because
Right.
Saba did dominate the early parts,
Yep.
but Gorks recovered.
Gorks
Yeah,
recovered
and we
nice.
failed to shut down the Sandaconda early enough, and by the time we did, too little, too late.
Yup.
Next up, SVPU. Los Shuto versus Ryuji.
This was a good game in the end. I mean, I honestly, towards the end game, I thought we had it in the bag, but we should have, instead of going to Gabite at the end game on a Mischievous, on Guggoat, we should have gone Mischievous and willed it first. That was what led to our downfall. We let it set up.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Like, my biggest worry was the Mischievous burning the Go-Go.
Yeah, had he done that, Losco would have won, but
Yeah,
Yeah, he
the
just
most
never
interesting part
did
of this
it.
game is, of course, the Terra Water Go-Go, which was solidly the MVP of this game using Bulk Up and Milk Drink,
it
Rock,
was.
Rock Slide against Charizard, and Horn Leech just for general purposes. But other than that, nothing much else to say. It was a pretty good game.
It was.
Yeah, that Go-Go was an MVP. Truly was.
Losco looked strong in defeat, and
Losco
Ryuji picked up a good.
lands
Ryuji's a goat. A goat.
Next up, we got Skelly versus Excelsior. This was the last
We
game?
had
Kelly's
nothing
first
for Mud.
win.
We had nothing at all for Scarf Mudbray Earthquake.
I
It was
will
Press
actually
X.
correct you on this. You had nothing once your trip school died.
I mean, it got 2 at KO'd anyways, but
True.
once you carried on it later, we had nothing.
Yeah, that
There
thing
was
was
a
an
point
absolute monster.
there was a point where there was a nice Strudel Terra Blast attempt. Ultimately did not pay off. It was nice that Bree brought Strudel in just for giggles and then ultimately died to it. Ultimately, though, poor switch in to Nimble by Excel, Mudbray, Scarf, Earthquake. Um, Mudbray, Scarf, Earthquake were damage dealing everything. Ultimately, led Skelly to a pretty decisive W. That Excel kept his Nimble
Thing
pretty on.
is,
Had Excel kept his Nimble
thing
pretty
is, I
safe,
think.
then he would have won.
Well,
There,
see, Micoy,
it wouldn't have.
it's either he lets something else die. It's either he keeps it healthy and lets something else die, or he lets it get low.
I mean,
Right.
Because that Mudbray,
Skelly knew Mudbray was win. Sorry, I say
yeah, that
Skelly knew Mudbray
Mudbray,
was the win con.
Mm-hmm.
that Mudbray, like one hit KO, two hit KO, everything. The only thing it didn't one hit KO was, I guess the only thing no, I guess it 1 to 2 it KO'd everything. The thing that took it best was Crab Brawler.
But that's really the only hit.
Once Toad Scroll died.
That really was the only out, but
I
unfortunately,
wouldn't say
that's
the
what.
Nimble would have changed anything because Skelly was never going to let the Mudbray get first impression.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, obviously not. Especially when he has a freaking Drifloon and a Marini.
So I mean, it was basically press X on preview. There was nothing we really could have done here.
Yeah, the Terror Ground Scarf Mudbray was very rough here.
Yeah.
Right. From one outplane to another, Fayette versus London is next.
I'm gonna say.
Really
Can I ask you, Procat, what was the point in the screentail? Because we were talking about that. That is like one of the worst sets we have ever seen. It's so goddamn passive.
Oh, all right.
Why? Just why is this being run?
I'm not the greatest at doubles this gen.
No,
It was
I mean,
mostly London and Cheese
came up
doing
in chat
prep.
because that is a terrible set. I'm sorry, that is just terrible.
Goofy. I guess it just wanted to paralyze.
Yeah, Tackly Screamtail. Yeah, I guess when there's a I guess the Screamtail didn't do very much apart from just screens. Guess we
get the screens, but no attacks. It's just too passive. You're basically disadvantaging yourself here.
Screamtail is one of those Pokemon that wants to run more than 4 attacks.
I mean, at least have one, right?
One. That's it.
Yeah, like what to run over what is the thing. Like Encore can be good in doubles to like make
all 4 of the moves are obviously useful, good moves, but it's like there's no point in making it so incredibly passive. That's the thing.
Which is pretty, yeah, it was pretty unfortunate. Screamtail is a mod that's worth more than 4 moves, and unfortunately, the 4 moves it shows weren't exactly the best in hindsight, especially with Fayette just bringing a pretty standard, I want to say standard, but Trick Room and Brick Break.
It's pretty standard.
Brick Break, though, on the Great Dust. Wow, all right. If you want to break screens immediately, there you go.
I mean,
yeah, that is a little interesting. Is that just for
it's trying to cover up. What's up?
I said the Brick Break was interesting. Was that just in case?
Yeah, it's just trying to cover as many bases as we can, kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. And though there's that Terra Water Iron Hands getting a sword stance and thunder punching, and then overheating the Sylveon to a death. Nice. Good win by Fayette. Unfortunate for London. And finally, we have to end on this bullshit. We have Azik versus LCAP.
LCAP's my bro, but he played this too passive.
Well, credit for
wow, LCAP playing too passive. What a thing to say.
He did this one for once, yeah.
Oh boy, couldn't see that coming.
For once, yes.
That shouldn't exist.
This man pulled out his RNG card
and then
way too early.
He should have gone hard hat and not let Azek get spikes up too on top of it, but
right.
I don't know why he just sat there and let it spike.
LCAP pulled out his RNG card.
See, there's a reason people call LCAP bad.
Yeah, he's my bro. I've known him for like a couple of years now in here, so.
So LCAP pulled out his RNG card way too early in the beginning of this game. Paralyzing the Azumarill, lowering its attack with Play Rough and basically not kill its own Azumarill. There was the Klefki moment where Klefki tricked the other Klefki to not move, well, to make it move last with Lagging Tail, being paralyzed and foul played, doing not as much. Yeah, early LCAP hacks in the beginning, but unfortunately, being too passive doesn't necessarily net you on being a good player. Now, isn't.
Well, LCAP's not a good player.
And And yeah, this was very much evident in this game as Azek, despite getting spikes, 3 layers of spikes in, um, basically got everything the tools that he needed to. He got the light screen up, he got the reflect up, and just let his Tankaton, his Iron Rallion, his Fluttermane, and his Mimikyu fly off and win.
Also, I think it's worth noting. Did you notice that Isaac had a number of mons with boots?
That's normal for a lot of fairy teams because it's very hazard weak and there's no hazard removal. So a lot of boots and fairy is normal.
Yeah, I see.
All right, so that.
Let's just say we very much prepped into this matchup. we obviously knew he's gonna bring a hyper offensive type, so let's bring something good into that. That's what we did.
Did you prep against RNG hacks as well?
Yeah, I don't think you can actually really prep for that, but
I would.
Yeah, that's the one aspect that's a little hard to prep for when facing LCAP.
I would still prep against hacks if I were you. All right.
do tell us how.
Yeah, I'll tell you how when I actually know how. Anyway, we can't reveal who's the predictions champion because I was lazy and not really counting the predictions all that much for week 3.
No, Micoy!
Shame on you.
What were you doing while I was watching the replays?
Shame on you, my man.
Sorry, man. I was too busy rewatching.
I even input all the matches onto the sheet so you could do that.
We had a couple of hours. To prep.
Exactly. Why can't you do
I
it
pulled out my
then?
lazy card once. Just this once. All right. So
Okay.
the undisputed predictions championship will be held vacant. No, I'm kidding. You still get to keep the title.
I'd say default to Poke Art because you didn't do your job. She wins.
Well then, all right. All right. Next, so we're week 4. Where how many games have played? Let's see, 5, 6, 7. 7 games have
Too
played.
many.
Maybe 8. I don't know. But I would have liked to see.
I'll look.
I would have liked to see
4, 5, 6.
I've not really seen any of these except for ours, I don't think.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 6, I guess.
All right, 7 games have played. I really want to see a week where everyone plays.
What? I said 6.
Oh, 6? Why is it 7 here? I don't know.
Yeah, 6. Oh, no, 7. Yeah, it's 7.
So it is.
Yeah, the only one I've seen is ours.
I really would have liked to see a week where a set has already been predicted. A set has already finished before we start predicting.
Look, Skeletor and Vicious are pretty close. It's 4-1.
Make it happen, boys. All right. First of all, the Flame Slinger Skeletor Juice versus the Dressrosa Dracovicious, where the Skeletor Juice right now are munching on the Dracovicious pretty hardcore. First of all,
and they've had half their games played already.
Yeah. First of all, we got Michael Der Best, SVOU Michael Der Best versus Clean. Oh boy.
Michael.
It's
like I like Clean. He's a great player, but Michael is Michael. He's next level. I think he's started slow. I think he's coming around, and he's going to win this one.
Yeah, I'm also going.
Yeah, I think so too.
This is a very safe play here. I think Michael is definitely winning here. Sorry, Clean. I hope you play well. Next up,
I'm surprised you didn't take it. I'm surprised you didn't take a chance to make a bad pun there, Michael.
Michael wins and
Let me just say,
it's
it's bad. It's not going well when you're already down for 1 of 4, and Michael, their best, is on the opposing team and has yet to play.
Oh well. Skeletons are having a hot week. A hot week.
A flaming week.
All right.
Quit. I'm
They are on
quitting this now.
fire.
All right. Next up, we got
Yeah.
SVOU. My Java versus Sword Strike. And curious matchup this one.
They go 60-40 in favor of Java.
That seems fair. My job is a goat.
All right. I guess we're all in agreement as well. I also think my Java has a better play than Sword Strike, without a doubt. So yeah, my Java wins here.
Don't count him out, though. Sword
Sword
Strike.
Strike's good, so he could win
Yeah.
this. So I said it's 60-40. I favor Java, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sword Strike pulls it off.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Fair enough. Fair enough. SV Ubers, Corvair versus Ainscred. This already happened. We're gonna cover these games next week.
No, it didn't. Let's pretend it didn't. Let's pretend it didn't. Who do we predict?
Ainscred, easily.
I probably would have predicted. I probably would have predicted Ainscred.
Me too, I guess. I'm not super familiar with Corvair.
SVUU, Drew defeating Dugza. Again, this already happened, and Drew won.
I think I would have predicted Drew because, he's been on a tear.
Yeah, he's had a better tour.
Yep, I think Drew is having a great tour right now. So yeah, it makes sense to pick
He
Drew
is.
here. SVR.
Yeah, and Doug's hasn't had the best tour.
Poor Doug. He had some good games. SVRU, Valor versus MJ. This one I really want to catch live so I can.
Boomers.
Honestly, don't know how much RU Valor has done. So, and MJ has been actually on MJ.
I think MJ.
Yeah, I mean, MJ's doing all right.
I wouldn't be surprised if Valor wins, though.
I wouldn't be surprised either if Valor wins, but I think MJ has had a better run in RU.
MJ's been playing.
I think MJ's a better run in RU.
I mean, considering Valor hasn't played RU yet, yeah. MJ's been yeah. MJ's been in RU since day one, so.
Easy, MJ.
Plus, both are great players, and I just think tier experience will be the decider here.
True. SVNU, Todd Key defeating Team Charm. This one we watched live. We'll talk about it then.
Who would we have predicted?
Taki. For me, Taki.
Yeah,
I probably actually would have gone Team Charm, but
okay.
I would have
gone Doki because I think he's been doing better in SV than Team Charm.
Team Charm's been kind of riddled with.
Team Charm's a wild card. You never know what he's going to bring, and he's a good player on top of it. I think he would have pulled something out, but obviously Taki did win. So
honestly, Team Charm's been cursed this year. Maybe it's because we brought him on in week 1. I don't know. Sorry, Charm.
Oof, is being on the Micoy podcast a curse?
It might be. Why am I here now?
All your games will be filled with hacks and bad MU.
Hey,
I know who to blame.
We're in this together, Pokeark, please. Your iron bundles are not subject to.
Oh yeah, I might be cursed.
SVPU.
Oh, you take one for the team. You take all the curse for me.
All right. And T Lanet versus Van Drizzle also happened, and T Lanet won. I assume.
I would have picked Lenny.
I would have picked Lanet.
I assume this would be a pretty dominant win if T Lanet faces Hank Winnie. But I'll get to watch the game, so we'll see. SVLC. Greedy ED versus Loki fan. Now, this one I'm very curious on. This one could be a sleeper highlight in LC.
I'm still going Greedy.
Come on, Loki. I don't know, just something tells me he's winning this week.
He won last week and the week before in arguably 2 upsets.
Yes. Yes. They're doing great.
I'd say they're both very good players. Both of them were on our radar. But I do think Loki wins this one.
I still think Brady's better as a player, so I'm gonna say Brady. I also can't shake that comment Keenan made last week about how even he beat Loki fan in LC once.
Never take EB seriously.
Oh boy.
What? I said Keanu VGC.
Oh, for some reason I thought you said EB on that.
No, we won't have. We're not having Epic Boost on here unless he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, okay, alright. He's on my plan.
I don't know why. For some reason I thought you said EB. My bad.
Okay, alright. He's on my plan to bring in.
If we were had to have
Why?
ED on, we would need Okan, but he won't cooperate.
Epic Boost. Get the next.
It would be interesting if it happened for sure.
We'll shame him. We'll shame him. SVDOU. Chris. Oh yeah, my prediction. I think Greedy. I also think Greedy should win this one. Even though Loki fan's good, I am not underestimating Loki fan at all. I think Greedy should win. SVDOU. We got Chris numbers versus Zern.
Zern.
We're going Zern too. I mean, Chris hasn't won, but he hasn't played bad. It just like last week was a matchup. Just a little short, yeah. He's gonna get a win sooner, for sure.
Yeah.
But I do unfortunately think Zern wins this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's just better here.
Last week, yes, Zern should absolutely take this one. I hope Chris picks up a win in one of these because he's been building actually like really viable teams and has been playing pretty well.
He has.
Yeah, that's
only a matter
true.
of time.
Only a matter of time.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is the week he does it.
Yeah.
I would be because it's against Zern.
It's against Zern of all people too. SV Monotype, Sarah versus JoJo numbers, the undefeated. I think.
Let's pretend this didn't happen. Who do we think wins?
I would have gone JoJo, but Sarah's been on the tear.
I would have also gone JoJo.
JoJo's just a more established mono player, but Sarah has had a really, really good tour.
Aren't they both undefeated?
Yeah.
Aren't they both undefeated going into this?
I think they were coming in. I think they were, because I'm pretty sure JoJo had not lost yet.
Yeah. Both JoJo and
Sarah yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah.
How did he win? I'm curious on. Yeah, that's our predictions for that. Next up, the Resort City Rufflets versus the Primal Power Pangoros. Change your freaking
In which
logo.
less games have happened.
Change your freaking logo, Pangoros, please. That is like a drawing in by an 8-year-old.
No, it's not. Most 8-year-olds cannot draw like that. I probably could draw like that as an 8-year-old, but most cannot.
Honestly, I appreciate how it's unique. It's different than everyone else's.
Yeah, I like the font.
But everyone's logo is a little unique. None of them are the same.
I do like the font.
Yeah, the style of theirs is different though. Quite a bit different.
Could have been different.
But,
I like the style. I like the font.
No hating on logos, man. They're all good logos.
Okay. SVOU Sylveon use Calm Mind versus 3D.
I'm going Sylveon. They've had a really nice tour, and I've been impressed with them so far.
Yeah, I'm mostly going Sylveon. Didn't expect them to have as good as a tour as they're having.
I've been very impressed.
Yeah, mean, Sylvian has had a pretty has had an interesting role right now. It's not the most well played games, but yet he still comes up with pretty good wins. 3D has only played one
It
game,
doesn't
got
it doesn't matter as long as you pick the plays to win, though.
yeah, and Sylveon is one of those players, and ultimately, yeah, this gets my pick
Every
too. I think Sylveon should win here.
just about every game they've been in, they've started slow, but then picked it up and figured things out and recovered every time. So you can never count someone like that out.
Uh, Same here,
Yeah.
same here. SVOU ACR1 versus KDCA. Oh boy.
I've
So,
teamed with KDCA
Uh,
before, and he's a good builder and a good player. I'm gonna pick him here.
okay. What about you, Pokemon?
I have no idea.
Hype him up. Who are you gonna go with?
Did I not just say I have no idea?
But who are you gonna go with?
Did I?
Pick someone. Just
Trust
flip a
your
Give
gut,
me
coin.
more
coin.
reason. Give me
Just flip a
reason to
coin.
pick someone.
Coin flip. Do something. Anything.
No, like if you want, try to. I mean, I guess both say KDCA is a good builder and player, but ACR1 is clearly a good player. Micoy, who are you saying? Come on.
What was I gonna? Oh, I was actually gonna go with. Yeah, I'm gonna go with ACR1 on this one. Like, I've seen KDCA. They play good. They have built good teams in the past. I think ACR1 may just be a step above. I will not be surprised if KDCA wins, but I think I'm going ACR1 on this one.
I'll go ACR1 then.
Alright. SV Ubers. This one's about to be a pretty interesting game. FC versus Richard Millie playing.
Ooh.
Highlight.
FC finally playing where he belongs.
Highlight.
I'm going FC.
I'm also going
Uh,
FC, but I wouldn't be
like
surprised if
I've been
Richard
impressed with
wins.
Richard, but it's FC. He's a cut above just about almost everyone here.
Oh boy, I
Yeah,
can't.
that's true.
Yeah, I mean Richard. Okay, Richard has been proving himself. Don't get us wrong here. Richard has
I'm
been.
not saying Richard can't win, but are you really going to bet against FC here?
No.
It's
No.
like betting against SMB.
Exactly.
FC is goaded. But let's not discredit Richard Millie playing. He has been proving
No, Richard,
himself.
We're
he
not
has had a good
discrediting
tour, but
him. We're just
no, it's
saying
not.
FC is FC.
FC
That's
is
it. That's pretty
FC.
much it. Yeah.
I'm also gonna pick, but no, Richard has been doing good. He can put up a fight against FC, but that's FC.
Yes.
Obviously gonna win. Not obvious. It's not an obvious win, but it is a win for FC.
Isn't anything an obvious win for FC most of the time?
Most of the time, but we'll see. I'm interested in what Richard is building against FC. So, again, a game I'm very interested in. All right, SVUU, Udon Girl versus Medaya.
I'm going Medaya. I know Udon Girl's the
Really?
yeah, I know Udon Girl's the more proven UU player, but I don't know. I've just been really impressed with Medaya this tour.
All
And they've been
right.
flipped around and had no drop off whatsoever. I think they keep their run going.
Is Udon Girl winless?
Winless, yes.
I think she is,
Yes, they are
unfortunately.
winless. 0-3.
I can't bring myself to predict against Udon Girl though is the thing.
It's an interesting series. I'm definitely gonna catch this live. I hope, because both these players have been. Udon Girl's an established one, but has been losing a lot in UU, whereas Medaya has been actually proving herself to
To be
be.
fair, two of their opponents were really, really good. Shiba and TMM.
TMM.
I mean,
Even their match
It's no
against
shame in losing to them, but
even the match against Rocher was not bad. So, um, I think I'm going.
I think what Udon Girl needs to do is just maybe change it up a little.
something.
They're kind of easy-ish to prep into.
Nowadays. Back then, no, but nowadays, yeah.
You never knew what she was going to bring before, but there's not a
Yeah.
whole lot of there's not a whole lot of like offsets that you could have done in the current meta pre-home because there wasn't exactly as many options as there was before.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. This one's tough. I'm gonna go with Udon Girl. Only slightly though. Because Medaya has been
I'm
replaceable.
also going Udon Girl because I don't want to predict against them.
This one's interesting, but I hope we've been proven wrong. Let's go Udon Girl. I want to root for them. SVRU Plus versus Just Franco. Yikes.
Oh, that's high, but but I think just Franco wins.
That is how Just Franco wins.
Franco's had a better tour, but I don't know. I'm going to go with my gut here and go with the old head. Plaz wins.
Poet is the betting
Whoa,
man.
hot! That's a whoa, hot!
Betting
Ooh,
man.
I think Plaz finally gets his engines going and he wins this one.
We'll see. All right.
I'm still going Franco though.
SVNU and Helio versus Piyush.
Piyush is all over the place.
He's versatile, but I think Helio wins this. He's the more established NU player and has had a lot of success so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think Helio wins here.
Yeah, I also think Helio wins. I think Helio proved himself to be a threat in the NU tier. So, good. And SVPU, we got Tenebrasite versus Pap.
Going Tenebrasite. I've been impressed with him too.
Tenebrasite is really good.
Tenebrasite, better player, easily.
Yeah, especially in this meta.
SVLC, Hacker versus Drifting.
Hacker.
You said it at the same time.
Just a better player.
Okay.
Yeah, better.
Hacker is the better player of the two, so I'm gonna go with them. But I won't be surprised if Drifting wins.
I would be a little surprised.
I won't. I actually won't. Now, maybe Drifting could have a chance if he builds well. SVDOU, Aragon versus Wrath.
I would have gotten Aragon.
Yeah, I would have also gotten
Hard to say.
It already happened. I would not have been surprised if Wrath had won, but I do think Aragon's the better player.
Me too. I think Aragon.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense to go Aragon here.
Especially Aragon has been doing amazingly in SVDOU, so yeah, this is Aragon win. SV Monotype, we got Lithium Z versus Maroon.
I think Maroon.
Whoa, alright, alright. What about Lithium Z? What do you guys think? Does he have a chance against Maroon?
Leaf solid.
Solid,
it's monotype. It's monotype. There's always a chance. But Lithium's good. I just think Maroon's just a little bit of a better player.
Okay.
Yeah, better player, Maroon.
I'm also gonna go Maroon. This isn't a hard pick, but just a better mono player. Alright, next up. Iron Bundles versus the reigning champions. Alexis. All right.
Not anymore.
SVOU.
They could still rebound. They could still rebound.
Not facing us.
One Last Kiss versus Starmaster. You finally brought One Last Kiss.
Real convincing.
I'm sorry, but Star wins this easily.
Even though I freaking think One Last Kiss is a good player that should not be overlooked. Starmaster.
But it's Star.
Getting against Starmaster is a freaking high bar to set.
It's not that I think One Last Kiss is bad. They're not. It's Starmaster. Enough said.
I'm gonna be the betting man, and I'm gonna go One Last Kiss.
What?
Yep. Betting man instincts activate. I think One Last Kiss.
Don't bet the house, my man. Don't bet the house.
All right.
I mean, I mean, that's appreciated, Micoy. Thank you.
SVOU, Kebab Mill versus JJ.
Now this is a kebab win.
Yeah, I like JJ. Dude, he's been on the rise, but I'm gonna go Kebab.
Yep, the established player. I think Kebab should win. SV Ubers, Layson versus Genius from Hoenn. I'm surprised they still kept Genius.
We were considering putting someone else in Ubers this week just to get some of our players who haven't played in the lineup yet. Because they joked that this would be a free win.
Okay, 2004.
Layson, though, he's just a better player.
Yeah, he's just better.
Yeah, Layson, easily Layson. SVU.
Yes.
TMM versus Slip.
I think TMM is better. Give him good prep and he'll tear.
What are you, Pope?
Thinking. They're both good players. They've both been decent. My gut tells me Slip. I'm going Slip.
Ooh, okay.
But
Sorry.
But
what is Slip's record right now? Is it 1-2?
I thought isn't Slip like winless?
Is he?
I think he's like 1-1. I want to say because he got subbed out 1 week. Let me check.
All right. In any case, I'm still going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 0-2. I lied.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm not changing my pick. I'm not changing my pick. I think he wins this week.
And TMM is like 2-1.
Yeah, I'm also picking TMM.
Slip's a good player. Don't sleep on him.
TMM solid in UU. Slip also solid in UU, but I think TMM has had the better performances so far.
I don't think it's very smart to bet against TMM here.
I mean, Micoy bet against Star. Just saying.
This
is not as bad. This is not as bad.
Micoy likes to call himself the betting man.
The betting man.
So to be fair, I've yet to actually see what One Last Kiss can do, so I don't know how so I don't know how outrageous or how reasonable his bet actually is.
SVRU, the Franklin versus Let's Rumble, Shall We? Or Inertial Initiative.
This is an unfortunate opponent to give Hellray first.
Yeah. Same as like One Last Kiss. Unfortunately, it's Franklin. He's not losing this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just Arsenine. You don't predict against Arsenine anywhere.
Bet against Arsenine,
no.
Except a potential week, which we'll get to it when you'll see it. So yeah, I think Arsenine should win this week, but he'll lose at least 1 week, and I'm not telling you which one until I get to see it.
Of course, makes it.
What week are you referring to? I would like to know, actually.
I really don't see anyone in RU that has a chance at beating him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who are you referring to?
I don't know. We'll talk about it when we talk about it when you get to that week. All right.
We've already played Franco's team, if that's what you mean.
I know. That's one of the things I noticed, but there's another week that I'm looking forward to. You don't know which one.
I don't see anyone else proficient in RU.
All right. Before we move on, let's move on to now SVNU Chaitanya versus Ziri.
Jeez, what is it with you guys giving Chaitanya like some of the hardest matchups? Ziri, I'm sorry, Ziri wins this. Chaitanya is going to be 0-4, which is surprising. He's a really good player, but Ziri.
The reason we keep doing this is because I don't want to sub him out for some reason. Again, he's a good player, but if someone's not doing very well, you sub them out, right?
Well, this one
it's not even so much that he's been bad. He's had some touch matchups, but
yeah, he
Yeah,
honest,
very
I
much
don't
so.
blame Chait. He
I
just has not
happy
gotten
to
the
play.
feel
No,
of SVNU. He's not gotten the feel of SVOU. So NU seems like a better fit for Chait, but he's going up against Ziri.
it's
Is it?
just not this week.
Yeah,
Maybe another week, but Ziri is probably the best NU player in this pool.
Ziri.
Frankly, I have no idea how good Shade is in NU.
Ziri to win.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think anyone would predict against Siri in NU.
SVPU. We got Ryuji versus Yes or No, my dude.
This is a Ryuji win.
I do think Ryuji wins, but despite yesterday my dude being like 0-2 or maybe 1-2, he's played well. I wouldn't be surprised if he did win, but I do think Ryuji wins this.
I also have been noticing that Yes or
Ryuji's
No,
just
my
been
dude.
better.
Yeah, I know. Yes or No, my dude
He has
actually
played
has
well.
impressed me. Even though he has a negative record right now, like he's standing up to most of the PU meta. Like I'm really surprised. I thought he was
He
just gonna
has
be a one
played
and
well.
done.
Like I said, I think
I really thought he
yeah,
was
he
just
has
gonna be a
played
one and
well. But
done.
like I said, I do think Ryuji is the better player. He does win this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Ryuji as well, but I can't say for certain because Yes or No, my dude might actually pull off something. We'll see. We'll see.
I would not be surprised.
SVLC.
Ryuji ain't losing. Trust.
SVLC. This one would have been a highlight match if it was any other gen, but unfortunately, it's not. X Skelly versus Elfuzon.
Kelly's my bro too. We were teammates. He's a great guy, but it's Elfu.
Oh, come on.
Elfu's just the better
Kelly's.
player at LC. Sorry.
It is the betting man in me to say that Elfuzon will take this one. I know Skelly's good. Skelly is great. If he is motivated, I can easily bet Skelly. But Elfuzon has had a hit or
He
a
is
miss.
motivated.
Elfuzon has a
Like
hit
I said,
or a miss ratio.
it pains me to predict against Skelly. He's an old friend, but I do think Elfu wins this.
I would like to
I
agree with
think
both
you're
of
all
you.
wrong.
I will be the betting man here and go for Elfuzon. Next up, SVDOU. The Cheese and One versus Fan Game 10, aka memes.
Thank you for not saying that cursed name. I do appreciate this.
You do not
Cheese,
want
I like Cheese. He's an old friend too. We were teammates at the Laxes a couple years ago, but I think Fan Game is better at SB. Fan Game wins.
This, well, I think this sort of depends on what fan game brings.
I'm actually gonna go with Cheese here. Like, even though he's washed, I think he can still pull up one last more punch.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does win, but I think Fan Game right now is a little bit better here.
We'll see.
It will very much depend on what fan game brings, I think.
Yes.
If
If it's
you
the same
know
team
what I
again,
mean.
then good luck. All right, SV monotype basic versus felines.
Azek.
Azek.
Azek has been great so far.
Man,
He's also a good friend, despite him not picking me for the mono team. But
Also,
I think
our
he wins.
prep is deep.
I really wanted to pick felines here, but Azek is just so good that it's changing my pick. I'm going Azek.
And you guys have and then Chait took half the mono pool. So you guys had better be in there.
Azek win. Next up, final set.
You know, I honestly forgot Chait plays mono.
What?
I honestly forgot for a while that Chait plays mono.
Chait is incredible at mono. So
yeah, it's
that's
just,
honestly what I thought he would be playing, but
he's not active in the channel, so I sort of forgot.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have to be when you have doesn't really have to. You need Azek You have Atrax Madara. You have this.
yeah.
You have another. You have like a third Monarchs player in there too. I can't.
Are you
So
referring to Roxy?
What?
Roxy also plays Monarch. That's true, but that's not who I was thinking of.
Okay.
Oh,
I feel like you had like 4 or 5. I remember joking about that.
yeah, we do, I guess, have a lot of mono mains now that you mention it.
I'm not surprised why. And finally, we got the N-Star Arcunos versus the Phantom Trout. Both team versus the Fragments.
We're winning every other match, just saying.
Elrog versus Lax.
I'm not gonna be involved in predictions, just saying. So I'll leave these ones to you.
Elrog versus Lax in SVOU. Why did you put Elrog in OU? I want to ask.
He gave me I asked what tiers he plays, and I had to shuffle around. And it's one of his tier preferences. So I wanted to get him in this week because he hasn't played yet.
Okay.
That's a rough first opponent.
Okay. Just matchup.
It is.
It's very rough
I feel bad
first
about that.
opponent.
He's going to be the sacrifice play for the Articunos. I'm going Lax.
You never know.
Yep, he's the sacrificial. Well, he's the sacrificial.
Like I said, we're winning every other game this week. Every other game.
Elrog will win.
He's been sacrificed to Lax.
SVOU, Shiloh versus Ender. All right. This one's
Oh, Shiloh.
Huh?
Oh, Shiloh.
This one's interesting. Like, I've seen Ender play OU, and he's quite decent.
Is it any more Ubers though?
He is more known for Ubers, but his OU game is also quite decent. Like, he might pull off a little bit of tech plays here, but yeah, it's Shiloh. It's Shiloh's tier, unfortunately, so Shiloh wins.
Yeah, although if Ender preps well enough, I could see him winning.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Ender brings here. SV Ubers. Moving on.
We shall not speak of this game.
Moving on.
I would have predicted Aberforth.
Moving on. I don't want to talk about this game. No, just no. I'm dreading talking about this game next.
It was very.
Well, I guess after killing Lason's undefeated streak, Aberforth had his killed as well.
Karma. This is karma for Aberforth. SVOU. UU. Avarice versus Rashay. Now,
I'm gonna go Avarice.
this is an interesting matchup. Like, Rashay has had decent success in UU FPL, as Gawain has brought up. And Avarice is, a goat. Just a goat. Is my betting instincts gonna come in here? Yes. I think Rashay is gonna win.
Oh my god.
I think Rashay could win. I think Rashay.
Avarice.
I think Rashay has got all the tools he needs to win here against a goat in Avarice. It's a tough battle.
Again, what tools do you have against Avarice? Isn't he extremely hard to prep for?
He is extremely hard to prep for, but having that modern UU experience may help Rashay here.
Well, Avarice clearly has modern UU experience too. What are you talking about?
But I think Rashay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just impressed with what I saw with Rashay. Like,
yeah, I think you are, because I think Avarice is the better player, more of a wild card. So I think he will win. And I'm sure Poe agrees.
Yep.
SVRU. We got Reginald versus Danny.
Danny.
Sorry, Raji. This is about to be a curb stomp. I think Danny wins in a curb stomp.
Yeah, Danny is the lower
tiers
man.
Raji's a bro.
Well, I unfortunately we all sleep on we all sleep on Raji because his results are very mixed.
Hmm.
And Danny is the lower tiers man.
Yeah, this is facing the lower tiers man vote, so you better prep
Or is he
Raji
the
hard.
lower tier Dan?
Poet, you need exceptional tools for Raji in order to beat a guy such as Danny.
Honestly, I'm good friends with both of them, so this one was tough for me. But obviously, got to pull for Rogi because he's on my team. He's my birthday, so
Mm. You better prep hard. SVNU highlight, yes. Crying versus Actrotix.
Oof.
Highlight.
I don't know if I can really predict against crying.
she's also an NUPL doing pretty well. So just a heads up.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I think crying. I mean, I've seen the NUPL games. I mean, crying's just doing amazingly. Let's go crying.
I mean, it's crying, so
See,
she can play everything really, really well.
I'm noticing a lot of the matches we're predicting so far are going in favor of the Articunos. So I'm thinking the Articunos are going to win overall at this rate.
Hope team beats the Fragments team. We'll see. SVPU, let's go to Shoto versus Lichen.
Let's go.
Yeah, as much as we want that Tours Plaza representation, Sir Lichen, let's go wins.
Sir Lichen the second.
SVLC, Gorax versus Ace Hunter.
That sounds pretty high, but I think I'll give it to Ace Hunter.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go Gorax on this one.
You know, I can't really blame you. I think he has a pretty good shot at winning.
I can't also blame you for picking Ace Hunter. I mean, both players are just good in LC. So this will be interesting in a last ditch effort for pre-home meta. This ought to be an interesting watch. SVDOU, Fayette versus Akaru Kokyo. Yeah.
Hype.
It is hype, but I think this will be a pretty decisive win for Fayette.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. This could be close, though.
It could be close, but Akaru needs to prep really well if he wants to beat Faye. A player of a caliber such as Fayette, who beat SMB in week 1.
Yeah, we haven't lost DOU yet. Just saying.
Yeah. I
mean, oh, gee.
You're right.
We haven't. Hey, Poe, you want to know what's funny? We haven't won DOU yet.
A couple of teams haven't, so you're not the only ones. But Faye was our choice. Actually, we wanted them at most out of everyone because they already had success in SP and it's carried over here.
I mentioned it in the BLT video. I mean, if you're not gonna slot, I mentioned it in the tier list video. If you're not gonna slot Fayette in DOU, then what are you doing? So yeah.
Well, you're doing something wrong. That's what you're doing.
Pretty much.
SV Monotype, the last matchup we're gonna predict: Royal Reloaded versus Dunox.
Feel bad for Royal. 2 weeks ago, he should have won. They fished for a freeze. That was the only way they were beating him, and they got it. He should be 1-0 right now.
Sure. All right. So, Poker, who do you think?
I've never been too high on Royal Reloaded, but Dunox is winless, right?
Yes.
Royal was, at least for what it's worth, he was number 1 on the ladder for a long time, but he's not now.
Yeah, someone mentioned that about Royal Reloaded.
So he is very familiar with the meta.
Yes. This one I'm gonna actually elaborate on. Like Royal Reloaded.
In every game I've predicted Dunox, in every game where I've predicted Dunox to win, he's lost. So I'm honestly afraid that if I predict Royal Reloaded here, Dunox will actually win.
But it's gonna
I'm okay with you picking Dunox knowing that. Just saying.
Your predictions championship is on the line, Pokeart. Please make an honest prediction.
What are you predicting, Micoy?
So here's the thing. Royal Reloaded has been improving in Monotype. Dunox has had great success in Monotype in the past. I think I'm going to go with my gut and my betting man instincts and go for Royal Reloaded.
As they should.
You know what? I'll go for Royal Reloaded as well.
Oh,
Hopefully you don't curse us.
so that's not the betting
That
man
might be
instinct.
the first time. That might be the first time I've ever predicted Royal Reloaded to win in a BLT.
So what does that make it?
That's kind of sad.
So what does that make it? Like 8-2 Articunos or 7-3 Articunos?
I still remember the first year because he was on my first Articuno team 2 years ago, and I remember week 1 where he actually pulled up one of the biggest upsets and beat GXE that week. That was good times.
In a shit game.
Didn't he hack some to shiz though?
Yeah, in a shit
Nah,
game.
not really. He brought sub. I remember it was sub. I think it was sub Dragon Dance or sub bulk up.
Okay.
Like whatever.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So.
He basically brought counter stall versus stall because we knew GXE was going to stall.
All right. All right. Well, we pretty much know GX is known for stall, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he'll pass it on to his Dracovish man. Who knows? Anyway, that's the end of BLT predictions and recap and all that shiz. Poet, thank you for joining us on this long trek.
Thank you for having me. I can finally go to bed.
You're welcome. That's what you get for agreeing to do this on a cursed time zone such as mine. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like.
Highly self-inflicted. It's true. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for watching. Please like this video, leave a comment, subscribe, click that notification bell so you wouldn't miss a video once it come out. See you next week for week 4 recap, week 5 predictions. Let's go.
Thank you for joining us, Pope.
Thanks for having me.
All right, this has been Micoy signing out.
Farewell.